2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Is your January looking dry? Get some lotion. Better yet, get Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a huge selection of non-alcoholic drinks perfect for dry January and get the best deal every time. And best of all, you can get them all delivered to your door. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations. And don't forget to lotion up those elbows.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Holy moly, it's a weird night on the intranets, at least for me. What a crazy hour it's been, and the last 5 minutes were the most bizarre moments we've ever had, where we could not hear half of the show of each other talking to each other. And now, thankfully, you can hear me, folks. If you're listening right now, you're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. This week's show, Mayfield wants a mea culpa, and Luke Kuechly steals the show. Holy cow. Well, Luke Kuechly's joined the broadcast team on a part-time rotating basis, just like they've done with all of these old stars. Our questions about Luke Kuechly's relationship with the Carolina Panthers in some ways have been answered, I think, by, there was some concerns that the relationship wasn't as good as we thought. We see him in Buffalo and different things like that. So we'll be talking about Luke Kuechly. Training camp schedule out, and the Mayfield Deshaun Watson saga continues. I want to hear about your thoughts on what training camp battles and bubble players are you going to be rooting for? Are there any bubble players? I think this might be the year there are the least. My name's Tony Dunn, and I'm here every Tuesday night with my wheelman, Cody Lashney. How you doing?
Tony Dunn, listen, man, we always find a plethora of different topics to talk about on a Tuesday night. It doesn't matter what time of year, man. We love to be here with these incredible Panther fans on a Tuesday night. Of course, we're going to be talking Baker Mayfield because what else is new? We're going to talk Luke Kuechly joining the Panthers booth. We're going to talk Deshaun Watson. We're going to ask some really interesting questions about roster battles that may be going on. But Tony, first and foremost, we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's ATX19, Carson 1, DeReal 0, Chill, James Island Panther, Jay Prey, Jedrick Cole, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Lawrence Trevette, Lynn Leon Hart. What's up, Lynn? Matt Knows Nothing, my man Kenneth Panther Pickle, Paul Mancini, and last but not least, the birthday boy himself, Tan Tizzy. Happy birthday to you, brother. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. You can be a part of the longest running Panthers podcast. In fact, the #1 Panthers podcast in North America and on Google. I love to say that. Yeah. CK's in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, man, doing great now that I've heard those words come out of your mouth. It's always nice to be at the top of the mountain, at least from the podcast.
#1 in North America. Take that, folks.
Yeah.
We had someone Google it in Canada. That's how I know.
Yeah. I would say probably #1 in the world. I guarantee you that if somebody else, does it overseas, they're probably going to get the same thing. And that's always good to see, man. But I'm glad to be here with you guys. Glad to hear, be here talking about Panthers, talking about dates for the training camp coming up. And maybe a little C3 meet and greet with some people out there who might be interested in going to FanFest in August. We'll kind of break it down a little bit, but I'm happy to be here with you boys.
Fantastic. Greg, the boys. How can it get any
finally
better?
caught up.
I
finally caught up,
Did
dude.
you?
And it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I ask myself that every week. How can they get better? And they do every.
It's insanity.
Week, yeah.
It's insanity.
Week.
How you been, man?
I'm good, man. I just bought a truck yesterday, so I'm
oh yeah, congratulations! Looks great.
Yeah.
What type is it?
It's an Avalanche. It's not what I wanted, but after having it for a day, and I've already hauled a washer and dryer today, I like it. I'm happy with it.
Heck
so
yeah, gotta have a truck.
Yeah.
Especially when you live on land like we do. Mm-hmm. Man, all right. So, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the show. Let's start with, I guess, and probably the happiest thing I've heard about the Carolina Panthers in a while. Right? The thing that made me feel fantastic was that clip that they put out announcing that Luke Kuechly's joining the broadcast team. Who knew Luke Kuechly had so much personality? Be honest, he's always been kind of the film watcher, the buttoned up, and not that he was boring or anything like that, but he always kept it in the lines. And it was nice for them to have a little fun and announce that he's going to be joining the broadcast team.
Yeah.
When I see Luke Kuechly, he strikes me as the guy that no matter what room he's in, he's always the coolest guy in the room. He's the guy in the room that everybody likes, and he's the guy in the room that everybody would follow. Like, he just strikes me as that kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, we all want to look like him.
Yeah. I want to be him.
I want to be him. I want to be him. It's like if we, you know what? Oh, I saw this, Greg. I saw the boys, first of all, their Twitter account is just slaying right now. Like, they are putting out more content than I've ever seen a show do. And they had one thing. They said, if you could have Compound V for an hour, what would you be or what would you do? You know what I'm saying? I'd be Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Give me Compound V for an hour. I want to be Luke Kuechly. I'll save the world.
Probably would.
You want me to play the video?
Yes, let's
video?
watch it.
Yep. Let me.
So it's like this, is that for the last year and a half, we have bemoaned the Matt Rule stuff, and this made me happy. This was just happy.
So this is how the Panthers announced to the world that Luke would be joining the broadcast.
Jeez, Anish, you've got quite the radio crew in your first season. Jake Delhomme, Jordan Gross, and now Luke Kuechly is going to be doing some games?
Alrighty.
Just look at his process. Right now he's going through rookie broadcast.
Keys to the defense are creating turnovers, red zone efficiency, and getting off the field on third down.
All right, faster.
I mean, he's listened to every radio broadcast since 1995.
What a real student of the game.
Anish is over here.
Okay.
You're right here in the middle.
Okay.
All right, and then you got Jake or Jordan right beside you.
So Sam, Mike, Will.
He's been the first guy in, last guy out of the booth all month.
Brian Burns beats a blindside block.
All right, next.
Tommy Tremble tiptoes for a touchdown.
One more time.
Tommy Tremble.
I think he'll be ready for week 1.
79.
Icky Ekwonu.
Okay, see what you did there. 49.
Frankie Louvu.
Oh, each time. Okay, so each time. All right. Yeah.
Good one, Jake. Oh.
Sorry, Jake. Sorry.
Luke is
It was
the
fantastic. It was
certified
fantastic.
the man.
It was fantastic, yeah.
Certified the man. And listen, I've said for a while that I think Luke has kind of gone through something of like a post-football career crisis, in that he's trying to figure out how he wants to continue to be a part of this game. And I'm happy that he's willing to kind of, experiment with all these different ways in which he can do it. First, it was a scouting department. It didn't really seem like that was where he was meant to be. A lot of us wanted Luke to be a coach and come be a linebacker coach for us and be a part of the coaching staff in some capacity. But now it appears that Luke is getting in the broadcast booth. And I love this too, man. Much like when people, commend Greg Olson for his broadcasting talents and his ability to break down the game from an X's and O's player's perspective. I think that's why a lot of people like Greg. I could easily see Luke adding the same kind of content to this broadcast and really breaking things down. He was such a playbook warrior, knew things inside and out, changing plays at the line of scrimmage. Like, this guy has forgotten more football than most people will ever know in their entire life. So I'm interested to hear Luke transition into doing this, and I wish him the best, man. Any way that Luke can be connected to my Carolina Panthers, I'm highly in favor of.
Do you get the feeling at all that he's lost about what he wants to do? Like, after football, football was always the number one, right?
Yeah.
And he always knew he wanted to stay around football. We've heard that based on his retirement and what he's done since then. But like, the fact that he's gone from scouting pretty quickly to doing this, even though this is just kind of like a small snippet of what he'd be doing. Like, he's not going to be doing like a lot of broadcasts or anything, but do you get the feeling like he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do with the rest of his life?
I do. And that's why I said something of like a post-football career crisis, I think he wants to play, but his body has betrayed him and it won't let him anymore. And I think that's something that he's been wrestling with. Again, this is just my 2 cents for all that it counts for, which is not much. But yeah, I do think that he's trying to figure out what his relationship to football is, because it's clear that he loves the game. He wants to be around the game. And I like the fact that the Panthers are now making a concerted effort to keep the all-time great Panther players a part of the organization, man. Yeah. Steve Smith, now Luke Kuechly. This has been a great continuation, I think.
This is what was written in the story as Panthers announced it on Panthers.com. And Luke Kuechly stated, quote, "I just love the Panthers, love being around it, love the people. I think I want to be attached to the team and the game and the organization somehow. I think it could be a lot of fun. I think that's the biggest reason to do something around the game on game day that's fun. You still get the atmosphere and all the good memories I have here in Carolina." Is that this is like kind of the logical move for a lot of these guys, is like going to the booth after the career. That's what they're all trying to replicate. Right. Greg Olson has landed a big gig. Now, he also, in some ways, is poor Greg is holding the seat warm for Tom Brady, he comes out. But whenever that happens, but still, Greg Olson to the booth. You've seen one of the things I think is interesting, though, with the Panthers players, and nobody's taking this on full time. Even with Delhomme, Gross is fantastic. Gross, he's so fun. He used to have a podcast that was called That's Gross.
Yeah, I used to love it too, man. He had some great interviews on there.
Like, he could be like a more sophisticated, I think he's cooler than Bustin' with the Boys type guy, but he's a cool guy to hang around. But these guys also, I don't know if it's the Panthers don't want one guy being the whole shebang. I don't think it's that, though. Is that I think Delhomme has got stuff with horses. He does a lot of stuff in Louisiana. You've got Gross with his farm in Iowa. And so rotating these guys, I always wish it was a little bit more the same every week so they could get better and better, right? But it's going to be a different look this year because this is the first year without Mick Mixon. So that Anish, thank you. So this is cool, but like, it is awesome. This is one of the things, though, is Luke Kuechly can do no wrong in Carolina.
Right.
Is not only was he, like someone said already, the best linebacker in the history of the game, he did everything like perfect. And like you said, the body betrayed him. Like there's actually not a single criticism about him. Like there's not like one criticism you could have. Even the only criticism you have is the years that the last year he played or two where it started to look like it tailed off some. You still had to tell yourself it's like far better than 80% of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that Luke Kuechly was so superhuman for so long. I think it's great. I'm just really happy to see that the relationship with the organization is there because we didn't know what to think when he went and became a scout. Matt Rule comes in, he retires, right? So you're like, oh God, is he, what is this about? Then he joins as a scout and you're like, oh, well, it wasn't because of the Matt Rule stuff. It was clearly health related and his concerns going forward. He does 1 year as a scout and quits that. And you're like, and then all of a sudden crap starts going terrible in Carolina, and you're like, oh God, I wonder if he saw the burning the burning room behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So having him come into the booth at this time, to me, actually makes me feel a lot better about the Carolina Panthers, just in general. Like he does it.
Right.
Even if he just was trying to, like you're trying to tell me that Sean McDermott couldn't have gotten something for him or Ron Rivera couldn't gotten something for him if he really so it really, I like the idea that he feels like a Carolina Panther. He wants to stay close to the organization and it just makes me feel good. It's like chicken soup when you're sick type thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's my chicken soup.
No doubt, man. I mean, Luke Kuechly, I'm just, like I said, I'm happy for him that he's continuing to find ways to express his love for football. And by the way, like I said it before with Greg Olsen, but even look at a guy like Tony Romo, he wasn't ready to call it quits, but then Dak Prescott happened, and then he moved into the booth, and his excitement for the game.
He was getting hurt on every play.
But it's the same thing with Luke. I think if you have a passion and an excitement for the game, like that's why people love John Madden as a commentator. Like,
Mm-hmm.
boom, hey, that dude loved football, right? That dude loved it, and I think Luke shares that same love of it too. So yeah, I mean, if we're going to be losing Mixon, the best next answer is to get all the best Panther grades and bring them in and have them, share what they're seeing on the football field.
There's one problem though, and I think Luke, because you said he knows the game so well, is going to be good. He's well spoken. It's not a problem. It's just like everybody's trying to recreate Tony Romo. I don't think the Panthers are necessarily doing that because they've had a long history of bringing in former players to do this. But if you think about it, it's like ESPN, they're switching broadcasters every year. They just went out and didn't they just go after and get Troy Aikman and Joe Buck? I think, or is that Monday Night Football that's doing that? I mean, I know that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck just left Fox and they switched. I think the
Amazon.
Everybody's getting paid too, man.
It's crazy.
Big time paid to move.
But everybody wants the next, like Tony Romo injected life into the booth that we haven't had since John Madden, in a way, to where it is like a love for football comes out from, like, it's so authentic and awesome. And maybe Eli Manning and Peyton kind of dipped their toe into that with that broadcast they had on the side last year.
I think but they're going to be doing that again this year.
Yeah.
Like that's something that, like, that was listen, Pat McAfee had kind of tapped into something with the younger generation of players or fans rather, and I think they realized that the old format isn't meant for everybody, which is why they're talking about doing different broadcasts, multiple broadcasts for the games, which is going to be a positive for a lot of these guys. But like the problem is they chase after the next Tony Romo, if you will, and the problem with that is like then you run into pieces like Drew Brees, who was a horrible broadcaster. Like he was not good. He tried way too hard to be exactly like Tony Romo. and it just did not work.
He's just a bore, dude.
Yeah.
He's always been that way. Even when he did the commercials back in the day with his wife, who was doing an insurance commercial, and she was the bigger star on the stage. Like not everybody's made for it. You're right. They are chasing it. Let's just stick with that for a little bit. What you're talking about with the Pat McAfee, kind of expand on that, because like we are on a different frontier of media to the point is that the people in this community are the Panthers meet. I mean, think about this, is like we are, if you Google Panthers podcast, we're the number one, and that's ahead of the damn team. Like, to me, that's insane that and it's not like a brag on us. Like, it's actually a sad thing to me.
Except it is a little bit of a brag.
We should. It's a humble brag.
Flex
I
on
just
your
think
toes.
the team should be higher. Like, is like this is when we first started. It's like they had the name power of all of this. They've got the reach. They have 2 million followers on Twitter, or 4 million, whatever it is. Like, it's just crazy. Like, what has Pat McAfee done to media?
Well, so I know CK watches him all the time too, and I think CK can talk to this. I watch him just about every morning.
Right.
He has this really cool thing, and again, it's because it's on the internet. He's on Sirius too, but he's on the internet, and at the end of the day, he gets the most candid interviews from literally every single guest that he gets on his show, from all walks of life, from all different sports. I mean, Daniel White goes on there, football players go on there, baseball, he's into hockey. And also, they say all the shit that a bunch of sports meatheads like us say to one another. And it's not the type of banter and the conversation that you're going to hear on ESPN and Fox Sports. Tony, it's the same reason why the 100 viewers that we have right now come to this podcast, because you're going to hear real opinions that aren't media driven, that aren't the same tired narratives by people who are only watching the highlights of the Carolina Panthers. No, we're dedicated content with real opinions by real people. And I think that is, if you're looking at the landscape today, that is what these big podcasts are doing. You see the Pivot, those guys doing their thing. This new media is really kind of changing the way broadcasting is done, and people are just starting to catch a hold.
Dan Patrick started it. Imagine that. Imagine being Dan Patrick and going off.
How did he start it?
15 years. He left
started
the mothership. He left ESPN and started his own independent radio station, basically radio show that then that he produced basically out of his attic for a while. He just
paid
did
people
it in a time where
it was a scary moment for him, because like I remember he did the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about it, and he was telling Pat he was doing everything the right way, because like you could easily chase after the money and go network, and I'm not saying Pat isn't doing that, but Pat isn't changing who he is to fit what the networks want. And so that's been exactly what Dan Patrick has kind of led to. He was like, listen, I am way more happy now as a broadcaster. I love what Dan Patrick was able to do, because it's something that is like you said, it's kind of leads to what we do now, which is people that can really enjoy listening to the things they want to listen to, as opposed to listening to NFL Network only to find out that the Panthers are going to be mentioned like 2 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Dan Patrick did it at a time before the internet. So, like, is that, like, if you think he was just before, like, he would have been, first, if he's tried to keep his, like, journalism pristine, right? So he tries to run a true kind of as close to a real journalist as you can be, rather than being a talk show host. Like, he doesn't want to just be a talk show host. But he did it at a time where you weren't reaching people on the internet. You were still reaching them by the radio, and ultimately, I think, remember when he was on the Audience channel or whatever, or something like that?
Yeah,
or
they
like,
all
is
were.
that,
like it was like a direct TV network that had bought
and he's the one that started. He's the one I mean, he had the guts to, and you know what? To be honest, it's kind of crazy. I wonder if he saw what was happening at ESPN. He was just like, I don't like this.
Maybe.
You know, he was fantastic. The golden age of ESPN was with him, and that like it's like when we didn't have the internet and you used to watch ESPN all the time. Sports Center was cool as shit. You remember like in 95, Sports Center was like the bomb, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, except I was 5 years old. You know what I'm saying?
You were 5 years old in 95, were you?
Do you think I don't know my own age, bro?
Damn, I thought you were. You say you're not that young.
I was in fifth grade.
I was in 95. I was in high school.
I was either ending fifth grade or going into sixth grade in 95. One of the two, depends on what time in 95.
Well, it used to be the bomb, but we also used to use phone books.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how about this? Is good question for you. How many people's phone numbers do you know?
I remember phone numbers from high school better than I do now. I can tell you my friends' phone numbers and girls' phone numbers from high school. Like
I don't know my kids' phone number. Like my own
I don't know my kids' phone number either. Yeah.
I know my mom's phone number, my dad's phone number. One, because they had their house phone number turned into their cell phone number, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
So like I just call my old house phone for my whole life, and it's my mom's cell phone. I know my wife's, and I know my in-laws because it's because I used to call my wife all the time when we were young. That's it.
Yeah. And
I did. Yeah, the rotary skills. I know about that. All right. So cool stuff. And you know what? Maybe we should start saying we changed the game. We changed this.
We did. Hey, we've been on the forefront of this
part of the movement
for a long time. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just saying part of the movement. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been doing this, man. The longest running Panthers podcast that there is. And listen, before we go any further, man, like everyone comes here to listen to us talk Panthers football, but that's really just what they say to our faces. In actuality, they're a bunch of weirdos and freaks with a weird fetish, man. That's how it is in today's world. Everyone has their kink. Everyone has their fetish. And the people here, they like to hear the voice that makes them moist. CK, why don't you talk to these freaks?
Well, hello. Welcome into the Carolina Panthers #1 podcast. Maybe one day we'll be able to say that we're owned by the Carolina Panthers, but right now we're independent. And we're here for you guys. We show up every Tuesday night to talk about the Carolina Panthers regardless of the news. You've been in here watching now for about 33 minutes. 100 of you absolute motherfucking legends. But you haven't hit that like button yet? I am absolutely appalled. You deserve to be punished. This is your subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 105 strong people watching. 54 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 podcast goes live. By the way, we're sitting right now at 3,660 something subscribers. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers before the start of the 2022 NFL season. Be a friend, tell a friend, man. Let everyone know that you love hanging out with Tony, Cody, CK, and Greg every Tuesday night, talking about your favorite football team, man. C3 Panthers podcast. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Tony Dunn, what we got next?
Training camp, the schedule's out, and 27th, we are 1 month away. Exactly 1 month away. Training camp begins on July 27th. And is July 30th? Are they not? August 11th is Fan Fest. What is Back Together Saturday? I wonder what
that's. I'm not sure of, because it says annual, and I'm like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, somebody.
Is that when they come back from Wofford?
No, because they do all.
No, that's like
Fan Fest is the only day that they don't.
Yeah, they don't do Wofford.
Practice in Wofford.
Yeah, Fan Fest is
Back Together Saturday. I wonder what that is. I've never heard of that, but 1 month away. Training camp. How How about this? 11:15, 10:30, 10:30. Ooh. It's going to be hot, folks. Luckily, there's no afternoon practices there. 8:30 a.m. on August 6th. So if you guys want to go out to Spartanburg, South Carolina, a couple of things that I recommended: bring your sunscreen, bring some water. It's usually hotter than Hades. It's like it may be one of the hottest places on earth, strangely, like where Breeze goes to die. Sadly, not Drew Brees. Actually, that's wrong. I don't mean. I think Columbia may be the hottest city, and Columbia's all concrete. I've only been once, and it was just like, God, this is awful. It is a tough environment, and that's what some of the people have been critical of having it in South Carolina, is kind of the heat and the problems that come with that. All right. Well, look, training camp's 1 month away. What's on your mind heading into it?
Heading into it, really just seeing what this team is going to look like, man. I know for me, it's probably the easiest answer, but it's just to truly know what our offensive line formation is actually going to be this year. You know, everybody knows I'm a proponent of putting Nkemba Kwanu at left guard, putting Brady Christensen at left tackle, because I think that's where both of those guys are best suited. Even though I think Nkemba Kwanu could be a very good left tackle, I'm not denying that at all. But I do think if Brady Christensen is best suited as a left tackle, I think they're probably going to give him some reps there. Our coaches have dropped hints about it even. So, yeah, a lot of my questions are really on the defensive line and the offensive line. But also I think another one to throw out there is our defensive backfield, where exactly they're going to line up. Is Dante Jackson going to be on the outside, or are we going to see him maybe move to the inside? Where's CJ Henderson going to play? You know, there's a lot of different...
get beat out by Keith Taylor?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this offense that we're not quite sure of yet.
Can you trust Matt Rule at all? Do you trust him? Like, I thought that, like, one of the things was that he was sold to us as an upstanding dude. Like, you know, this guy that, like, son of a preacher, just does things the right way. You want to have him as a buddy. And maybe this is just like, it's like when a politician goes to DC or something. I don't know if I can trust him. And here's why, where I don't know what to think of him yet, is that he was so adamant about Brady Christensen being a guard, like so good at a guard, like it's like, and being so hesitant to put him at tackle. You know, he's kind of not ready to endorse him at all, really. And now he's sitting there going, well, he's the best player he's the best offensive lineman we got. Like, I mean, it's like such a, I don't know. Why is his tune changed so much on Brady Christensen?
I feel like he doesn't know. Go ahead, Greg.
I would say maybe he's just eating a lot of crow. Maybe he's at the point where it's like, well, okay, if I'm not right, then let's try it and see it your way. And he's wanting them to fail and see, I was right all along. You know, it could be something like that. He's just kind of giving up, like, well, let's see what happens. You know?
Am I over exaggerating his kind of flip-floppiness?
No, you're not. And not only are you not exaggerating it, but I think Greg is right too. Like, it's almost such a turnaround from how he spoke about Christensen last season, even, that it's like, okay, dude, now are you just saying stuff to make people happy? Or what do you actually believe about the players on your football team? I think it's a legitimate question at this point. And also, we can't just pretend like we don't have a coach that every time he gives kudos and credit to a player on our football team, we're like, oh, shit, look who's about to get cut, or look who's about to have one of the worst games of their life. So, again, and I know that sometimes we have fans that come in the chat room, and it's the vast minority of them, but fans that say that we're too hard on Matt Rule all we do is try and find the worst in him and the worst about him. And I said this at the start of last season, Tony. It's prove it season. It's 100% prove it season. You get no shine, you get no flowers, you get no accolades until you have proven that you can be a winning coach in the NFL. Up to this point, he has not done that. So it's not wrong for any player to therefore be hesitant and doubtful about Matt Rule's actual wealth of football knowledge and what he does and doesn't believe about the players on his own football team.
Right. Look, I got to be honest, with training camp in general, I just have a hard time really believing anything. The only thing I really pay attention to with training camp is players coming back from injury to see what they're looking like, possibly new players coming in just to see what them up close. But beyond that, man, it's hard to believe anything you hear because everybody looks great in training camp. Doesn't it? Sam Darnold's throwing dimes in training camp. Joey Sly's 10 for 10 from 70 yards in training camp, but they're not playing as hard as they do in a real game.
I've got a take will be my 10th one that I'm kind of been eyeballing, or ninth or 10th. I know it's our 10th season. I feel like so I'm in my 9th training camp that I've paid kind of or tried to pay close attention to. It's kind of a hot take here is that to me, this seems like the least questionable lineup that we've ever had. And what I mean by that is like, I always felt like there were guys on the fringe that we thought were going to play a big role on the team or could play a big role. Like we were talking about these kind of real bubble battles. And if we look at this roster, I really feel like the starters are like pretty clear of who they like. I don't know who is like kind of the dark horse player. I mean, if you look at, all right, let's start with wide receivers. Is you're talking about DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. I mean, Terrence Marshall Jr. is like everybody's latching on to that. Like he feels like he's going to grow this year. And Robbie Anderson, who's, kind of irritated everybody. But that doesn't seem out of place. Second round pick in his second year, you expect like that happening. You look at this offensive line right here, Aquanu, Christensen, Bozeman, Corbett, Moten. Like, those are the guys, right? It's like we're not sitting here going, well, I wonder if Cade Mays can beat out Bradley Bozeman. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I mean, and if we go to where are the battles, I guess, for people that will contribute? Quarterback, all right? I feel like on offense, just looking at this, is that I don't see anything. I think no one really stands out to me that like is kind of my underdog hero that I think could do something. Even last year, people were like, oh, Shi Smith's going to have a big year. You know what I'm saying? Like this and that. Is like, is there anybody on offense that's on the outside that you think could climb the ranks? And I'm going hot. I don't know if it's a hot take. It's just my take. I don't think the battles are there.
I think it's a valid argument. Yeah.
If you're the 4-man rush, you think Michael Jordan is going to get into the starting lineup and be our starting left guard,
Who's he going to replace?
Christensen, I guess.
Dude, no one. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not better. He doesn't have any more natural talent than any of the guys in front of him. I think he was very disappointing last year. The only one that I can see that maybe be in a battle, but it's really not even a good one because we know that we're going to be using 2 tight ends. They have Tommy Tremble listed at number 2, but to me, that's not.
This is a third-party site too. This is Our Lads, but they're like one of the few sites that actually.
Yeah, I use Our Lads too. Tommy Tremble is going to see the field a lot more than we think. So maybe that one.
I guess the bigger question is who the hell is after those dudes.
I know one that I would like
imagine
to see.
That is like, imagine if something happens to Ian Thomas or Tommy Tremble. Who the hell is?
Oh yeah,
is there even another tight end on the team?
What's up with the superhero names? Tommy Tremble, Steven Sullivan.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
Brian Burns.
Thomas is even kind of not bad.
Charleston Rambo.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, like I and listen, I know Tony's gonna give me a ton of shit about this because he always does. But I would like to see Shi Smith become a more important part of the team. I don't see any reason why he couldn't. Even if he isn't starting on every down, you could certainly work in some packages, put him in the slot, find some ways to kind of get him open across the middle of the field, let him get some yards after contact. Yeah, that's
isn't Rambo like that to a degree? Like, I mean, they're kind of similar players, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, like, is that maybe that's like you're gonna work him in some situations or something, but I don't see a real. This is the thing, is like I just don't see, unless injured. This might be the most clear roster we've had in a long time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And let's go. With the irony of this, or maybe the irony is like the one place you don't want the questions are where the real battle is here at quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? Like usually the battle is like you want to know who your quarterback is. We have no idea who our quarterback is. But even when you come to running back, maybe you could say Foreman is ahead of Chuba, but we know Chris McCaffrey. We only got one fullback. So if we go to the defense, like where maybe this is where some battles are at, and I don't really know.
Before we move all the way to defense, we're gonna ask this question a million times before the end of the season. But let's take a temperature check. I mean, again, this is all based on feeling because we have no factual information. But what are the chances you think right now, like just what's your gut feeling tell you about Matt Corral's ability to actually push and compete for a starting job in training camp? Like, what's the likelihood that actually happens and that we hear rumors that the quarterback
week
is
one?
Tight?
Because
you made the great point, Tony. Like the biggest battle on the offensive side of our roster, it is the quarterback position.
No.
And if we have a young gunslinger and if Matt Corral comes in more prepared than we thought before, like what are the chances that Matt Corral might be able to compete for this job?
Are you asking, do we think Matt Corral has the talent to do it, or are you asking, I think that if he shows that talent, I believe that the coaching staff will recognize and make it a competition?
I think
I do believe he has the talent, but I don't know if the coaching staff would do that, even if they saw that, to be honest with you.
I'm kind of with Greg on this, is like,
okay,
dude, does anybody even really win out in training camp?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is like, what could Terrace Marshall Jr. do to supplant Robbie Anderson as the 2, right? And that's a guy that we believe they want to be good and this and that.
Yeah.
But like, what is it on a daily basis in those low stake circumstances, like Greg had mentioned, like really what could Corral show in practice? Really, it's like games. Like that's the only thing. The problem with Sam Darnold is the fucking game, not the practice.
It's similar to the combine argument. Like,
right.
What can a player show in the combine that's going to make him change or make you change your opinion about him? Same thing with training camp. Like what? Like I feel like you already have your opinion developed going in. I need to see gameplay. Like that. That's
like I'm trying to think of. And maybe it's like this. Is maybe. All right. So you said temperature check. I say, is it like what is our scale? Is it a 1 to 5?
Dude, you can do it degrees. Like you can go up to 120 if you feel so inclined.
Let's do 1 to 10. Make it easy. Something simple.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a 3.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to say a 3 as well for the reasons that I was saying. I think that he has the talent to do it, but
so I think though and it's not a detriment to Matt Corral. Like it's like I don't think that you're going to go out there and you can in practice like make audibles and calls and show your kind of off paper intangibles in those very organized. No. Andrew Luck,
there's a story about that.
I know.
But they knew coming in Andrew Luck.
Yeah, but he was the number
Tony
one.
Dungy told him, right. I know.
He was already going to be the starter, and they gave him. That's kind of like. I don't think.
But I think the point being,
like he's not beating anybody out. I think
so
what
Greg
you could say
asked.
is. What you would say is this: is that like Matt Corral can show he's capable enough in practice that where Sam Darnold has to keep his job starting week 1. Right.
So,
it's his job to lose, like not his job to lose, but like
it is.
that
That's
is the
true,
thing
though.
is that if you want to say my temperature on that is that I think that it could be a 6 or a 7 for the Panthers going, you know what? We feel more comfortable with him in week 3 than we thought we would 4 months ago if we have to go there.
Right.
So I'm going to say a 3. Greg, where are you at?
I'm right there with you. 3. But that is an interesting scenario. What you're bringing up is that I think it can come to a point where week 1, like they're saying Sam Darnold's our starter week 1, but when we get to that point, he
throws 2 picks
already
in
be on
week
the hot
1,
seat.
and you're like,
yeah, he's already on the hot seat. Like you're starting the season on the hot seat. So yeah,
which I
I'm
think
with
he
you at 3,
is,
though.
to be honest.
So look, I want to tell you both why you're both wrong.
Oh,
and
I don't mind being wrong here.
Yeah, and so let me tell you why you're wrong. At this point, listen, we know that we're going to be dealing with Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo rumors until they're not being dealt with anymore. Like until it is set in stone that it's going to be Sam and Matt, we know that we're going to deal with these rumors. However, I'm inclined to believe that neither of them are going to happen. I think the Panthers are genuinely going to start the season in 2022 with Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Now, earlier, Greg said something. He's like, well, okay, it's similar to the combine. And that what can you do to actually earn that spot? Well, in my opinion, there's a few things. And they're all things that I know Matt Corral does well. 1, get the ball out on time. And that's something that Matt Corral is really good at doing. He was really good in college. He's in that RPO, very fast type of system. And he goes through his progressions well. I think those 2 things on top of, and again, there's a lot of ifs here, but if Matt Corral can show a propensity to connect on those deep balls downfield, and he's starting to take care of the football, not throwing interceptions, and showing steady progress, I think if Matt Corral goes into the preseason and starts to look good, you have to remember that there is a 3rd-year head coach on the hot seat. What is going to put him in a better position to ingratiate himself not only to the Panther fans, but to actually give him a chance to win football games? The quarterback that has been the worst quarterback in the NFL for the past 4 years, or this young upstart that everyone is excited about and is showing promise. And even if you roll with him, it gives you some cushion because you're saying, well, Sam didn't look good and Matt Corral looked incredible in the preseason. There's no reason for Matt Rule, who's in the hot seat, to not take a chance on the younger quarterback. I'm going to give it a 7. I think there is a real chance that if Matt Corral looks decent in preseason and in training camp, that he will be in conversation to be a starter next year.
Well, maybe then we have to talk about the preseason more. It's like if he goes out and slays it in the preseason and looks like he's like a freaking Brett Favre or some shit like that, then maybe.
What opportunity is he going to get in the preseason, though? Is he going to get the start? Is he going to get the start?
He better.
And play against the first stringers?
The first 2. So now it's only 3 games of preseason. It used to be 4. It used to be the 3rd game was the game where you play all your starters for the longest amount of time. If they're still going to do that, I would assume Matt Corral to be the starter for at least the first and second quarters through both of those games.
I would start him the whole time.
I expect to see him.
Why not? Why wouldn't you start him just the whole time? And what I mean is give Darnold.
Imagine that buzz when it starts to build.
But you should do that because, really, you've seen people. What are you really gonna do? What, just knock some rust off of PJ if you're gonna put him in the 4th? You really want to give him the most experience possible, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that is the only place he could do it. Cody, but I still am really. You might have taught me up to a 4, right? Where I need to see him slay the preseason because I don't think he can do anything in training camp to win. Because I don't think Sam Darnold's problem is inability, right? Like, I mean, he can throw he's got the arm strength, he's got the mobility, it's like he's a practice player. Sam Darnold's problem is when something goes wrong, it spirals and gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
That's it. So Sam, so it's really hard for me to he's gonna have run huddles before, he's gonna been diagnosing defenses before, you know what I mean? Like the only thing is Sam Darnold would have to completely shit the bed or get hurt.
Right.
But to me, that's
in
just
practice.
Not,
and I don't think he's going to shit the bed in practice.
Well,
have you seen what these guys do in practice? It's like
I'll pass this
practice, dude.
To Greg after this, but based on last year, we had no other options. We knew that Sam Darnold was going to be our starter no matter what. So even if he was looking bad in training camp, it's not like they would even. It's not like they would even publicize that. Also, Tony, that scenario that you just mentioned, Sam Darnold just coming out and just not looking good, that's very possible to me.
Not in practice. Like this, it's barely play. It's like barely football, dude.
But you're preparing yourself for the start of the season. It might not be what it once was, but you're starting to build the foundation of your football team. And if he's not taking care of the football, then I think Matt Corral has a much better chance than people are giving him.
Could Matt Corral make this the most exciting preseason we've had?
I fucking hope so.
It'd be great. But look,
think about it. It's like, what else? I mean, with Cam Newton, you know that he was going to be the starter. You know, you're talking about getting him up to speed and protecting him. Yeah. It's all been about protecting your player's health and this and that the entire time. Even last year with Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater the year before. Is like this the one time where the preseason is a guy that the team really wants to do well at the most important position could come and be like, imagine this. If he goes out and throws 240 yards in the preseason game,
dude, that's what I'm saying,
be like, start this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're hearing though, dude. Imagine how fucking good.
All right, you got me up to a 5.
If that happens, dude.
Don't let him sway you. Here's the thing.
Don't tease me with a good time, brother.
It's a vibe. Let's go.
I agree with you, Cody. I think that he's gonna do it like that. I really do. The only part we differ in is I just don't believe that the coaching staff at Matt Rule has the gumption or the balls or the wherewithal or the knowledge to be able to recognize that and act on it. That's my thing.
I do think Greg
Matt
said he's on the hot seat from day one. I think that's a good way of putting it. Is from week 1, snap 1. It's like Darnold. You better go and be everything that
the leash is short. The leash is short.
It's not existent, dude. You're holding him by the collar, ready to let go. Just like you're free.
Corral will be the starting quarterback next season at some point in time, but it's not going to be because of anything that happened in the preseason.
I want to get CK's. I want to get CK's opinion on this. I just want to say before I can do, this is why I don't want Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo. Amen. Because then it pushes Matt Corral even further down the road. But CK, jump in on this, man. What's the likelihood that Matt Corral actually competes for this job?
So first and foremost, I don't know that I can recall a preseason with higher stakes than this season. For a lot of players, I should say. And so right now, I think Matt Corral has the opportunity to win this starting lineup. And it's going to boil down to whether he gets the opportunity from Matt Rule. If Matt Rule approaches this like this is a true competition and they actually treat it as such, then at that point in time, I think Matt Corral has everything he needs to be a potential, starter for us.
Yeah. I think so, man, and that's where me and Greg are kind of going back and forth on this too. Is that it's not like anyone is doubting Matt Corral's ability to do it, or that McAdoo couldn't build a really easy offense around Matt Corral that he could jump into. I think it's just trusting Matt Rule, like Greg said, especially seeing how we dealt with Brady Christensen last year and Deontay Brown last year and Cam Newton. It's like, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I say, to be fair, the question was, though, do you think training camp can change their minds enough to make them a starter? Because we all think he'll be a starter, but I don't think training camp will do it. And that was what, because, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I just don't think training camp's enough to judge somebody off of.
Right, because we're talking training camp battles. And again, you're right, though. It goes back to Matt Rule. It's like, even if Matt Corral does come out, and like I said, if he does those three things, take care of the football, get the ball out quick, and connect on those deep shots downfield, to me, there's no way that they cannot consider him. And again, something else to add, and I think Tony will agree on this, having Ben McAdoo and this coaching staff is going to be a blessing in terms of putting our actual best guys forward. Him and James Campen.
Let's continue real quick with to my kind of hypothesis is that the least bubble players in maybe Panther history is that, you know, in the past, and this is probably, I don't know if this is something we should celebrate. I don't want to overly celebrate it too quickly, but the Panthers in the past, we've had some real studs at some core positions, whether it's Luke in the linebacker core, TD, Olsen, Cam, you know, like we can go down this list of players, but we always felt like, or at least for me, like a number 3 guy, we always needed to be a number 2. Like we needed, who was it that the year that we let, maybe it was Steve Smith go or Russell Shepard. Remember Russell Shepard? Like we're like, oh, he was going to be a starter. And it was like, bust. He was a bump. I mean, he was like, a rotational player.
Such a disappointment.
But we always needed somebody, it felt like, to play a bigger role than they were probably, like we counted on them.
Yeah.
To work out. In this case, I mean, I guess we're kind of counting on these guys staying healthy. I don't know. Is it Luvu? Like, I mean, who is it that's really, I guess Corey Littleton can maybe edge out in this case, Luvu. I mean, we bring him in. I'm just looking at the back end of this list and I'm going, we don't expect anything out of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where the competition truly is of a back end player that is going to climb up and we're going to be like, oh my God, he's going to play a role this year.
By the way, look how stupid this is. They have Dante Jackson as our left cornerback, CJ Henderson as our right cornerback, and JC Horn as our nickel corner. Right. Dude, you know that shit's not right.
Well, those 3 guys are going to be so I guess it's more about positions. If anything, I do think if there's one that I could, if there's one I could say I could see happening potentially, or I would think is possible, is where is the Keith Taylor guy on this list? Yeah, I feel like Keith Taylor could supplant CJ Henderson. But I don't know if this coaching staff will let him. It really seems like this coaching staff wants CJ to work out so bad. And like, I don't know if they're putting too much into where he was drafted originally, or maybe they're just trying to be nice to him at this point, which is fine.
Keep in mind that we have Steve Wilkes back in the building.
Yeah.
So his say-so is going to weigh very heavy in these conversations.
What about Barno with Gross Matos? I know we've seen Gross Matos' injury. I mean, he's been good, but has he been like over the top spectacular? Has he been somebody you can't beat out?
Chart here.
They got him listed as our second defensive end, which actually probably is not wrong if you think about it.
But by the way, a lot of these guys, especially on the D line, you're going to see most of them. Like they're going to rotate these guys in and out. So like all these guys. Even Amari Barno, he might not be on the field even 40%
Yeah, I think he's on the third. I would put Haynes. I would think it's more like Burns and Haynes are the starter, and then Gross Matos and Barno are behind them as rotational guys.
Well, this is not official, too, right? This is
We need, you know what? That's where we need some help, dude. We could use
defensive end.
a free agent acquisition in the short term of a veteran at defensive end.
How do you feel about our linebacking core? Shaq Thompson, Damian Wilson, who we picked up, Frankie Louvu. I think we all love Frankie. I think everybody is very excited about Frankie. I think he's also going to be a guy that will play off the ball and a little bit on the D line as well, kind of like how we used Hassan Reddick last year. They want Louvu to be their discount Hassan Reddick, in my mind. And he might be able to do that, but
I didn't think of Reddick as a linebacker at all, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's really not.
Just because he didn't put his
linebacker,
hand
but
on
it's
the ground, it mean like he was just a defensive end to me. That he was a speed rushing defensive end. Like I didn't want him in coverage or anything. You know what I mean? Like, so you know what I say about this linebacking core is meh.
Is our drafted guy even on that depth chart?
Who was he?
No, Brandon. I'm so
Brandon
bad.
Smith. Yeah, Brandon Smith.
Yeah, Brandon
Green.
Smith.
Oh, all the greens are rookies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that our linebacking core needs improvement, but where we're at right now, unless I'm going to get a player that is like hands down like top superior linebacker in the league, then I don't want to add another Shaq Thompson to the team. I don't think that fixes the problem. I think we need a clear-cut superior leader in that position, and if you can't get that, then roll with what you got.
I'm sticking to my guns here. This is an unpopular opinion with Panther fans right now. It's like Shaq is just okay. Like he's average. He's better than average. Yeah, I mean he would be better with better players around him. You know, so I mean that's one thing is like he would be fantastic if he was playing beside Luke Kuechly. You know, like that is that here's the thing is that Shaq Thompson had his best season as a pro last year. It's his best season.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how much better it will get than that. So I just don't like when they call him borderline elite. I think he's a good, like more, you know, so I'm not trying to dump on him, but like calling him fringe elite to me is too it's like 2-1 season. And I don't know if it was that awesome. I mean, he had some big plays early on. He got an interception in the first game of the season. He's always been nicked up a little bit, which is a tough position to play. I don't know. It's like I think this is that when it comes to linebacker, I think this is one place you can kind of get away with in the NFL where as long as you're not bad, you don't necessarily have to be great.
Right.
And I think Shaq is good. I don't think he's great. And I don't know anything about the Damian Wilson enough. I think, but at least these guys, I think they're going to be better than what we had 2 years ago. Who was that dude that we hated? Whitehead, tired Whitehead. You know, it's like I think the linebacker group is one where you're as good or bad as your worst player.
Yeah. So, you know, a couple of things here, right? I agree with what you're saying about Shaq, but I kind of feel like you could copy and paste 3 different players into all those same sentences and it would be true. And that's Shaq Thompson, Derek Brown, and Dante Jackson. I think those guys are really good football players.
Right.
But I don't think they're great football players until you put better pieces around them. I think Dante got that this year. With CJ Henderson and JC Horn and Keith Taylor, I think we're going to see the best Dante Jackson that we've ever seen. Derek Brown was still kind of out on that.
He's only 2 years. He's a third-year player.
Yeah, for sure. And no one's
player.
Yeah, but when it comes to Shaq Thompson,
Shaq's been in the league 8 years, dude.
And I want to highlight this comment by CB Izzy. He says, "Bro, why do we have 50 guys who have the size to play 3 or 4 outside linebackers, but we're still trying to run a 4-3? And to expand on that a little bit further, why are we really not trying to train any of these guys to be a Mike linebacker? Because that's what we have been missing since Luke Kuechly. And right now, I mean, again, that's not an official list. That's our lads. But they have Brandon Smith as as a will linebacker backing up Shaq Thompson. Well, why wouldn't you give that young man an opportunity to use that size, speed, and athleticism to play Mike's linebacker for the Carolina Panthers? Like, having that sideline to sideline linebacker in the middle of your defense, the Panthers have been in desperate need of that for a long time.
Well, because
I feel like we're waiting on someone to step up and actually be able to play that position.
I feel like Damian Wilson and Corey Littleton. Now, maybe I could be wrong. I don't know enough about them, but I do think they're kind of lent more to be middle linebackers. Maybe, in their makeup of what, I don't know, is that who knows what you're going to do with a rookie right out the bat and what he could be. I don't like the idea. I don't like a 3-4. I think it's a really hard scheme to pull off. We've never done it well in Carolina. All of our greatest success has always come at a 4-3. And I just think of this is like, there's very few defensive ends who are big enough to be real every down defensive end and athletic enough to do what you ask in a 3-4. Like, I mean, you're talking about needing, like, even it would be difficult for Pepper. Peppers did it in Green Bay but like, there's been a bunch of guys. Who was the guy? Quentin something. We signed him for a year here. He's from Kinston, North Carolina. He went to Carolina. And he was drafted by the Jets real early. Quentin Coples. And he's a guy, and it's like this. It's like they just turn out to not be fast enough side to sideline to be in coverage and be a linebacker. And they're never big and durable enough to be a defensive end. And I don't know, but the Pittsburgh Steelers always fucking screwed us over with a 3-4. So some teams seem to do it well. When was the last, what's the 3-4 dominant defense in the league? Who is it? Who runs
There's a
it?
lot of them. I mean, I feel like most of the years, the Super Bowl winner has been a 3-4.
Really?
I know. Yeah, I felt like the Patriots did it a lot. I know the Broncos did when they beat us. There have been a few teams that can do it well. And again,
It's hard.
One thing I'll say, Tony, though, is that I feel like edge rushers coming out nowadays, they fit that outside linebacker role more than you find a guy that's 6'5", 270 pounds with the real athleticism to be able to play with your hand in the dirt. I think
that's
that
too undersized. I think you need to be 290.
Well, I mean, there are guys that make it work at around that size, but you have to be a real athlete to be able to do that. And Mike Tomlin was on a podcast recently, and he said, there's not an abundance of big men. If you're a big freak show, powerful man, there's not a whole bunch of those guys. So I feel like the college game is putting out more 3-4 outside linebackers than actual edge rushers. So I kind of think that plays a part in it. But I do agree with you. Our best defenses unanimously have been 4-3 defenses that have been savage with fantastic Mike's linebacker play, and more importantly, with a great interior pass rush.
Right.
Chat is roasting me. We're not roasting, they're being polite, but Denver was 3-4. There are teams that have pulled it off.
Look.
And done it, right? Denver in the Super Bowl, they pointed out. I just feel like the Panthers tried it under Rivera that last year.
Yeah, didn't work.
And it stunk. Then the first year of Phil Snow, do you remember everybody made fun of Phil Snow running the 3-5 or whatever it was, or 3-2-5, whatever? They made fun of, like, college.
Think it kind of had to.
Yeah. I mean, actually, is that they were roasting him unnecessarily, I feel like. But I just, even when we've tried, I find this is that the hybrid switching out, people say they want to do it, but I just
Which
don't
they
see
never
it
do.
work in the continuity as well. I haven't seen it yet. Go ahead, Greg.
You'd be surprised. Last year in 2021, the Colts, Chargers, Chiefs, Saints, Jets, Packers, Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Cardinals, Niners, Steelers, Redskins, and football team or 9 football team. What are they? Commanders.
Commies.
Yeah,
There's
The
no way
Texans.
Ron
and
Rivera
Texans.
ran a 3-4.
All ran 3-4 defenses.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the last year of Ron's year? The last year Ron was in Carolina, he tried to do the.
I know. I mean, but it was
That's
because
half
they
league.
forced him to. It was like, remember, it seemed like he was acquiescing to the new owner. Man, I'm surprised Ron Rivera's running that in. That can't be right. Wow. That's a lot of teams right there. Who's
That's
the
what I'm
best
saying.
one on that list?
The best one on
Who
the
was
list
the best
probably
defense
the
last year?
Chiefs.
San Francisco?
Oh, best defense on the list? Ooh.
Yeah, read that
Ravens,
one more time.
Ravens probably. Colts, Chargers, Chiefs, Saints, Jets, Packers, Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Cardinals, Niners, Steelers, Commanders, and Texans.
I would say probably
Eagles.
the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the
I
Ravens.
feel like that's
Ravens
just resting
probably.
on their laurels, though.
Yeah, but
Like,
the
I don't know
Ravens,
if
They had a pretty good defense.
they were
last
so
year.
hurt last year. I don't know. Their team wasn't.
and they still almost made it to the playoffs.
I'd say
The Ravens
Eagles, they
loaded up in the draft this year, though.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's go on. We've got plenty of training camp battles to talk about coming forward. Like, there's going to be a lot of time to actually. So, I do think that's lineup. It's going to be hard for outside guys to pierce it. It really seems very clear of who the guy is from day one, and maybe that's a good thing. So let's go on next. Let's see what else we got up in the show. We talked training camp battles for right now. Oh, here, kind of a segue to the Mayfield mea culpa is the Deshaun Watson story continues. It's like so long. It's been almost 2 years, this story. I mean, it's if you go back to him being upset with the Texans, if you count that part before the lawsuits, it has been 2 years. But now the saga just continues. Right now, he's meeting with the disciplinary board. And of course, it's going to be run by a woman. I hope he didn't nut on her by accident today. Like, please say not. If he did, they said this is that right now he could be facing an indefinite suspension. Indefinite, I heard, with a year suspension being
the
minimum or the suggested. Now obviously they're going to fight that and try to maybe reach an 8 game, a 10, who knows, like so
I heard today that they're going to counter with 0 games because
and meet in the middle because they want to get 8.
Well, I mean, I honestly don't know. I heard today that Deshaun, in order to like really state how much they agree with the statement, because the NFL, according to all rumors, they are trying to suspend him for a year. And this has been pretty much confirmed by a lot of different reporters that are following this story. And I don't know, that's the thing about it. And it's one of the most aggravating things about this whole Deshaun Watson thing is that we're not done with it, man. We're not done with it because then we're going to go through the appeals. Dude, it's going to be a shit show, man. This is an absolute dumpster fire for the NFL. I don't know, man.
Who's it big? Is it worse for the Browns or for the NFL? Are we not being hard enough on the Browns here? No pun intended.
I think it's definitely worse for the Browns than the NFL, but it definitely puts a mark on the NFL. I mean, it comes with the territory, But I'd be more mad at the Browns personally. I'd be most mad at Deshaun Watson than the Browns. Then
it's pretty wild. My man got almost doubled his salary. They gave up 3 first. What were we thinking?
Just think, if you want to really just feel like how much you've dodged a bullet here, just think about the fact that right now, the contract that Deshaun Watson got over his first 2 years are the most lucrative. Like, it's the most ironclad contract you can ask for. It's ridiculous how good that contract is. And it's unbreakable. It's not one of these things for the first 2 years. Like, it's not like, oh, there's going to be there cannot be anything that comes up. And then after that, it has to be new shit, even if they end up going after doing something different later. So it's not even something that like they could do something about if they just continue to suspend him, because it's all shit they already knew about. So like, they don't even have an out whatsoever unless new stuff comes to light.
So did you hear what the NFLPA is saying Deshaun's defense is going to be? That they're not adequately dispersing or dispensing the punishments out amongst the owners as they are to the players. So apparently they're going to mention Robert Kraft. They're going to mention Dan Snyder. They're going to mention Spanos. I think that's the Chargers guy. Yeah. Kroenke, I think, also had some shit. The Rams owner.
Who were the other names?
So Robert Kraft.
I remember Kraft getting a hand job at the Chinese. The problem was it turned out that parlor that he got, his actually is more legitimate. It was like, he needed Deshaun Watson's lawyer who said, come on, where else do you go to those places? Especially the real problem that Robert Kraft got involved with is it turned out that whole place was part of like a
trafficking thing.
Yeah, like a sex slave shop.
Some crazy bullshit. So by the way, like that's what they're saying, that they're not dispensing these punishments out that oppose that, and apparently the coach.
But how can you suspend the owner? Like, I mean, like, what do? You tell him not to be even near the team?
Yeah, but I mean, basically, look at what happened to Jerry Richardson.
Do to an owner?
Yeah, but look at what happened to Jerry Richardson.
Did that himself. Jerry Richardson was on the back end of his life. He's always been an NFL guy, and he said, I will just bow out before this gets any bigger. Like, this wasn't a forced sale by them. This was him almost, I hate to say being a stand-up guy, right? Because it's like, that's not the words to use.
He just chose to fade away into obscurity.
Yeah, like he was just like, I'd rather not fight this and make a big deal.
Well, there's an argument.
Really, is it the Reds? Is it the Commanders guy? That's like, and what were they doing? Sending emails, naked emails?
Like but they've also been cooking the books.
Right.
Like this is a big deal.
But that's the thing, is like, it's not like that didn't, like, the argument the NFL is going to have here, there's going to be a couple, right? The argument is this is different because there's 27 women coming forward about one person, and they have sued him. It's not like it's something that's being discovered and like it's possibly something, but nobody's really doing anything about it. Like, this is like lawsuits that have taken place. Second, if you want to use the Dan Snyder argument, he's been fined millions of dollars. And he's been removed as an owner. The owner of the Redskins is his wife. Like, that's who runs the day-to-day, or let me rephrase. The person who runs the Redskins is his wife.
Commanders.
Right. Yeah, the Commanders. So, I mean, even that argument is just something that I can't even necessarily put my hat on and say, yeah, that makes sense, because in all reality, this is a far worse situation than any owner has ever had, at least come to light. Now, has there probably been an owner do some shady ass shit? Probably. But like, this is far worse than any owner's ever been caught doing anything other than Dan Snyder.
And what is the supposed equivalent punishment? Like, so if you really wanted to make an equal punishment, like, you can't say selling a $7 billion organization. Like, you know what? Like, wouldn't we think if they excommunicated Watson from the league, like if they forever banned him, that would be potentially too big of a punishment? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this it's not what's the guy that had the statue, he was a saint or whatever, that was raping all the people, that was putting them to doing the Bill Cosby?
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
I mean, he like dead, but he was dead, and then they found out about, like, he died. Like, what do you really do? Like, what is the equivalent of suspending a owner for a season?
And also,
like, really, what would it be?
Money.
Is like, say no money for a year?
Well, yeah, that's the only thing you could do is monetary. I mean,
or, you know, if you wanted to get real technical, if you're trying to punish him as an owner of an NFL team, take away draft picks.
Ooh,
yeah,
you know,
that would probably be on the table. And by the way, that could probably happen to the Texans if Deshaun. Now the Texans are being sued. because they're saying that the Texans knew and enabled these kinds of massages and these kinds of cover-ups, and that the Texans knew about it. So that might happen to them. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I hear what you're saying.
If it's an apple, like, how do you apples to apples it? It's like, is how do you punish a minor for drunk drive, kill somebody versus, I don't know if every punishment can be equally compensated. Now, I'm not saying, now is the question that they've gone, that the owners get away with almost literally murder, but they are among the top 30 most rich people in America.
Right.
Is that, couldn't you say this is that, what happens if a player says this is that Deshaun Watson actually is getting a more lenient treatment because he's a superstar quarterback than if a bubble player would be kicked out of the league?
Or you or
Sean
me.
Oakman. Do you guys remember that Oakman dude?
And by the way, he was innocent.
Yeah,
that guy was innocent.
He's not in the league at all. So, like, could he sue? Could he sue Deshaun Watson? Basically,
I mean, that's a never-ending. That's a bottomless pit right there.
Right.
What I will say is this, and again, I have no idea how this thing's going to turn out. Just speaking all relevant information here. Out of the 27 accusers, Deshaun has settled with 24 of them. That's something that happened recently, so they're going to use that as a part of his defense too. But then in turn, the NFL is going to be able to point to precedent. They did this, I think it was like 6 or 8 games with Ben Roethlisberger. So there's, Adrian Peterson also faced some suspensions, didn't he?
For an entire year, I think he got suspended for the discipline of his son.
Yeah, he was disciplined.
He whipped his kid, and he had needed stitches.
Which is
but
why
Dalvin Cook got away with beating up his girlfriend last year, and he didn't even get a suspension. Like, nobody even heard about it.
Wasn't it dropped though? Like, I don't know if it was dropped in, like, if maybe they settled or something. See, I don't know. I think when they settle, like, okay, you remember Greg Hardy, right? Greg Hardy went on to play for the Cowboys because at the end of the day, she refused to testify against Greg Hardy.
Yeah, but he did some time first, though. Yeah, he didn't just go leave the Panthers, get through that, and then sign with another team.
The non-exempt commissioners, non-exempt. I don't know. How about this? I'm just to the point where I'm not feeling sorry for Deshaun Watson at this point. Yeah. Like, it's like so ridiculous. It's drug on so long. Like, if they came out and said a year, I would not be like, oh, that's crazy, too much. What I'm more upset about, or not upset, what if we would have, I really got mad that he got a raise. That's what really upset me about this. It's one thing to take a risk, a calculated risk, and say, we're going to trade 3 first-round picks and take on your contract. And if you get suspended, we're going to eat that, and potentially because the reward. But they took on all that risk and then gave him $100 million more.
Right.
Fully guaranteed it. So to me, that was where it just was like so much.
Yeah, it's like
I'm kind of upset at myself. I'm kind of upset at ourselves right now.
No, we wanted him.
Yeah.
I know that, and I'm in a tough spot too, because I had that same realization. I am afraid, I hate it because you're going to be able to go back and pull out, I want Deshaun Watson here. But when you really look at it, we dodged a bullet, number one. This is never going to leave Deshaun Watson. This is going to be a stink on him for the rest of his career. Yeah. So no matter whether he wins the Super Bowl or not, you're going to constantly have to defend your quarterback from that, right? So that's going to be exhausting as a Panthers fan if he were to ever do that. And let's be real about it. The Browns, here's something. I watched the TikTok. This is how dysfunctional the Browns organization is, okay? They get rid of the best quarterback they've had in decades. Well, sort of. They destroy that relationship. The best quarterback they've had in decades. Now, is that saying a lot? No, right? But at the same time, the first quarterback to win you a playoff game in years.
Decades, yeah. Definitely.
Years. It's just unreal, the difference. And then what you're going to do, the first chance you get is just destroy that. by going after Deshaun Watson. Now, it'd be different for us if we had done this with Cam Newton at the helm, right? Like that would be the equivalent to the Browns, at least for us, if we had done that basically what the Browns did. So it's a horrible circumstance, but yeah, I can't.
Can he rejuvenate his name? Is the question I got.
And look, I want to chime in. I want to chime in on this too, right? Because I've been thinking about this, and CK is right. If there's clips of CK talking about wanting Deshaun, dude, there's a fucking litany of videos of my ass fucking clamoring for Deshaun. And again, I'm a Clemson fan, right? And if you remember my story about coming to the Panthers, like I never followed Cam Newton's college career in real time. I only saw like highlights of it before he was drafted, right? So Deshaun Watson represents 3 of the most fun years that I have ever had watching college football. Right. He's such an incredible talent on the football field. Like no matter what kind of piece of shit Deshaun Watson almost assuredly is at this point, no one can deny that the guy, from a talent perspective, is a top 5 quarterback. And I have no problem saying that I was blinded by my fandom. I was blinded by the potential of having a college quarterback of my favorite college team being on the Carolina Panthers. I just got, wrapped up in it. And by the way, it's like looking at, Deshaun, and it's like we're never going to know the full truth. I'm sure some of those meetings were consensual, and some of those meetings, the massage lady said that they were consensual.
Right.
But you're also not going to tell me that, one, not only did he put himself in a terrible position and jeopardize his career, but that many people didn't just have great experiences giving Deshaun Watson a massage. In fact, more than likely they were assaulted by a pervert who forced some pervy shit on.
He's just so weird. It's just more weird than it's anything. It's like, why didn't you he didn't even have sex with him. Not a single one is like, it's just like, it was weird. Like, it's like, I want to stand on the desk and shoot us for, like, it was just,
let's ridiculous. Not get into the,
every time you say dodge a bullet, every time you say dodge a bullet, I think of the most recent girl who's like, and it almost hit me in the face. I was like, what did you think it was going to do? Like, like you ain't know. But the thing, and I don't want, this is not a defense and a rationalization. Maybe it is a little bit of our kind of idea of fielding this at the time. Is that it literally was is an acknowledgement that this shit is fucked up. Yeah. But the player in the opportunity for it's like a transformation opportunity for a player that you could add, but that was an apples to apples trade.
Right.
That was never, at no point did anybody go, let's trade for him and give him a raise.
Right. And I'll say too, like for all of us, I know you can go back and look at me saying too that at one point that I wanted Deshaun Watson. Look, things have changed since then. More's come to light. And with things changing, you have the ability to change your mind. Not to mention, y'all know me, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting it. I'm going to tell anybody out there who's had a problem with admitting they're wrong, just get over it and admit you're wrong sometimes. It makes your life so much easier because you're not always right. I'm wrong.
It's just so good that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And you know what is that we can go on here and defend and try to rationalize why we were interested in it. Cody could talk about his fandom. I can talk about how I won't try to pay him more, like, and this and that. And also willing to take potentially the suspension risk. If you bring that contract in, it's not fully guaranteed and gets suspended. Who cares? I mean, not who cares, but like there would be a financial penalty to him. Now, on top of this, so we can talk about all this, but what we have to remember is we don't own the Panthers.
Right.
We're not the GM, and they were really doing it. And what is David Tepper said? I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. He doesn't even said he's wrong. None of these guys said that they just like, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
Right.
So the Panthers were interested in it, and we had to talk about it too. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. No Jimmy G talk on this podcast. We got to talk about Baker. Actually, here, before we move on to the cat calls, real quick, Baker Mayfield, this has brought to, is there a, right now it seems like the Browns and Baker Mayfield are done forever. Baker came out and said that they would basically have to crawl on their hands and knees. He needs a mea culpa at the very minimum. But it sounds like they're parting ways, and Jacoby Brissett is going to be the guy. So Baker Mayfield, I saw a tweet firing up that he was rumored to be a deal could be done with the Seattle Seahawks. Our team's just going to make the Browns sweat now. And if you're the Panthers or anybody, I don't make any. Maybe they're waiting for this right here.
They're playing a game of chicken. Let's be
Which
real.
is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Panthers are trying to get the asking price down so that they can get Baker Mayfield.
You know
but
what?
they also, the Browns, they know that the Panthers want to do it with enough time for him to be able to learn the playbook and become adept in the offense and be able to get some reps in training camp and maybe even in preseason. So the Browns know that the Panthers want that, but the Panthers know that the Browns have to get rid of this dude. He's toxic goods at this point. Baker does not want to play for them, and the Browns do not want Baker. So they're really just playing a big game of chicken here.
Mm. Whose resolve is stronger, basically. They're trying to figure out.
Well, hopefully our resolve is none. I want to stay where we're at.
I agree.
I don't want to trade. I don't want to give up any assets for guys that are just okay. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey guys, it's Growl that makes him howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther. I wanted to say something about preseason. Now, I've told you before, I don't like the way the preseason's been shortened because, I know why they did it. Because it's not making them as much money as an extra game in the regular season would. But from a football standpoint, it was important because, or it is still important, even with the shortened schedule, but it's important because you got to see who's who. You got to, they have less of a sample size to make the decisions of who's going to be on the final roster, which I don't like. But then again, the playoffs were the most interesting that they've ever been since I've been watching football last year. So there's that. But last year we had so many players that had a lot to prove, and well, they weren't really able to prove it because Matt Rule had a horrible year. So there's that. But this year, our coaching staff has so much to prove. Our coaching staff, our ownership, David Tepper's not going to answer a shit because he's big balling. But anyway, the GM, all the coaches have a lot to prove. This is a make or break year for Matt Rule, and he knows it. Everybody knows it. And it'd be fun to see our new offensive line. It'd be fun to see all that stuff. But, there's not, you're right, there's not as many bubble players. Like, really, there's not a lot of our bigger acquisitions are like starting, or players that are probably going to start. So they're not going to have to prove much in preseason. Like, we'll probably barely see Icky. So, anyway, it's still interesting.
That's a good question, too.
It's still a football game atmosphere, so I always end up going. And I always end up feeling great about going because Hey, back at Bank of America Stadium. Yay. But anyway, guys, just want to leave that and watching y'all from the beach. Anyway,
Ooh.
guys.
Nice.
Nice. Greg, get in there, man.
Yeah. Can I just say I really disagree with you on this one, Joey. It's this goes right back to the combine thing for me. Like, if you've had these guys, you have tape on these guys. They've gone through OTAs. They've gone through. You have history on some of them. With some of them, they've gone through training camp, and they've gone through 3 games in the preseason. Does one more week of preseason, one more game, really, really, really make or break? And I get there are people who are on the bubble, but if you have that, pick one, cut the other one, and put them on your practice squad. That way, if you want to bring them up one day, you can. Like, I just don't think 1 week is that much more detrimental to it being, to the teams. I mean, maybe it was fun to watch one more week, but who really watches the 4th preseason game anyway? I mean, it's usually nobody, right?
I mean, normally by the time you get to the 4th preseason game, it's bubble players.
Yeah.
That are fighting to make the 53.
Well, it's bubble players
roster.
the whole time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I just don't think one more week, for me, is going to make or break the difference. It's just I don't think the combine makes or breaks it for me either. I'm just more interested in a large sum of things that I can put together with this player.
What we've seen is the NFL has moved away from playing their starters really at all in the preseason to now they like to do the joint practices is where the starters get more reps, which I think we're doing with the Patriots. When we got
let me look this.
They've used that as kind of a substitute to kind of drive the competitive format. What I actually think the move into 3 games is good is one of the things I don't like is that when there was 4 that you brought the starters out for 1 series and then they would I would rather for them just to play a quarter or whatever they're going to play in 1 game. I think the 1 series is kind of ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Is what is you're either going to go 3 for 3. You're either going to march down and get a touchdown or you're going to throw 3. How many times do we see Cam throw 3 incompletes? And then it's well, then they take them off and you're like, well, man, you just threw 3 incomplete passes. You should leave them out there if it's about knocking rust off.
I never felt like I saw Cam do terrible in preseason.
He never did great. There was never a time where we marched down the field and it was just oh, God, we're clicking on all cylinders. I don't remember.
In 2016, we did. And that was during, I remember because we were still riding that 2015 high. Yeah. In preseason, we looked pretty good. In 2016, we had a few of those drives. But and by the way, you are correct. The Panthers are playing the Patriots this year in training camp.
I would just rather for the team to for us to play the guys, and then if they don't do well, they're going to play a half anyway. Instead of playing 1 series here and a quarter next week, why don't you just play them 2 quarters in 1 game, consolidate it? Don't even have them dress. Don't even have them anything. And I am an advocate. I'm in the minority. Is I wouldn't play any of my starters. Period. I'm sorry. I know the argument is game speed and this and that, but these guys have been playing football their whole damn life. It's it's not 1 quarter all of a sudden is really gonna. I would rather for that 1 quarter in the first week of the season where they have to kind of play oh shit, wake up a little bit, and it be meaningful. I don't know. I'm in the minority on that one. But the number's 252-228-5098. Let's go next call.
Hey, boys. Baby Rhino. Hadn't called in a little while. Been getting behind on the podcast and on vacations, trying to get caught up. Just wanted to mention what I think everybody's drinking the Baker Mayfield Kool-Aid. I don't think we're going to go after him. It just doesn't make that much sense. I'm with Cody about how we do need to find out who Matt Corral is and then go from there. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't see Scott Fitterer going for it. I don't see Ben McAdoo going for it. I don't see the logistics in that. And they damn sure better be listening to Ben McAdoo. He's the quarterback whisperer. Yeah, I just, we're in that off-season mode where nothing's really happening. You guys keep it up. You're the content that keeps us going. So thanks for everything you guys do. Smash that thumbs up, people, and we'll catch you on the.
Man, thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Rhino.
Like C-Dog says, it's free. And I really think we've been consistent on this podcast. And I'm not a big person that's like, I want to be like, I told you so. But this is one time in my life where I have not wavered on any of it. I'm not going to argue if Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold or not, because I believe Baker Mayfield has had a better NFL career to this date than Sam Darnold. You can throw all the caveats in there. What if they were on better teams, this and that? But at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield would be a marginal improvement for this team. And it would not be a long-term solution. To me, it would be a short-term solution that could present more problems than it could, even if it worked out. Like, what is working out is working out what the Browns were. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, imagine you have the great roster, like everybody tells me the Browns do, which I think that's exaggerated to a certain degree. But look, I mean, is that the ceiling? Is that what you want? And on top of that, there's a real opportunity. It doesn't work out at all. And I don't want to give up any assets. I don't want to give up any assets. And I'm even less excited about Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has arguably done less than Baker Mayfield in this league. I know you could say he went to Super Bowl, and it's like, but I don't think it was because of him. And we did not even mention this. What about this crazy comments about on the pivot about Jimmy G?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to play it because they'll demonetize us. But yeah, Martellus Bennett famously came out and said that Jimmy Garoppolo plays like a bitch because they.
Yes, I remember.
Basically, they needed Jimmy Garoppolo to play, but he was hurt. He was a little banged up. And this is what he was when he was with the Patriots. They wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to go out there and play, and he just flat out refused. Now, to play devil's advocate here, people have tried to say that, well, Jimmy G already knew that he was out of New England. He didn't want to put his body on the line for a team that ultimately he wasn't going to end up playing for down the road, yada, yada. Tony, you say you like Jimmy G. Some people say they like Baker.
I don't like Jimmy G at all.
Or whatever. Whichever
no,
way
like
you
I
prefer
think
it.
he is
Baker.
I haven't seen him do anything other than I think he's less. I don't even think he was good as Alex Smith.
Tony, how about this? They're the same asshole. They're the same fucking dude. Just like Teddy Bridgewater is the same dude. They're all these guys that don't have great arms. They're not highly mobile. They're injury prone. They can't push the football downfield consistently. You're going to have to run a run first, dink and dunk offense, which that's fine if the Panthers are going to do that to start. But none of those guys are capable of truly elevating your offense to the next level. Shout out to Karen.
We might as
Choi.
be Kyle Allen. We might as well bring Kyle Allen back.
He's a game manager. But here's the deal, Tony Dunn. What makes one truly separate themselves from any of the other? Does Baker or Jimmy Garoppolo have a much better arm talent than the other? Is one more mobile than the other?
Baker's got more. I think Baker's got bigger balls, more arm talent, more mobility than Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G is like, I don't think Jimmy G does anything but go 20 for 26 with no touchdowns and like 202 yards. Like, I mean, to me is that, yeah, he is a game manager. And I think that at least Baker gives you an opportunity to win a little bit. But no, like, hear about this is, all right, who would you take? If you had to take one, you got to take one. And we're starting a team tomorrow. Not like there's only two players.
Like
I'm drafting a team. I'm drafting a team today. We're in the backyard. You get first pick, but there's only two people to pick from, Jimmy G or Baker.
Dude, death. That's just death. How about that, man? I
No,
choose
that's
death.
not an option.
No,
No,
because
really,
if I
no.
pick one of
Either
them,
or.
How
Who
about
would
this?
you?
How about this? I would flip a coin, and heads would be Baker, tails would be Garoppolo, whoever it landed on.
TK, who would you pick? Just that, like we're in the backyard. We're having a backyard football game. Who you want, Baker or Jimmy G?
Baker.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's it. I just think Baker's better. I like Baker more than Jimmy G. I've never seen where the love for Jimmy Garoppolo has been. I just never seen it. I think it's all been smoke. I think it's like, I'm sorry. I don't think he's done really much other than that one. I mean, yes, he made the Super Bowl with that team, but it was on the defense and the running game. I don't think it was because of Jimmy G. I think it was in spite. Sorry.
But
I would rather have Baker than Jimmy G. But again, I don't want to trade for either. I don't want to trade for either.
Everything that you just said about Garoppolo is true for Baker Mayfield. Everything. Baker Mayfield had a dominant offensive line. He had a two-headed monster at running back. He had Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Rashard Higgins, David Njoku. They have had players.
Oh, well, first of all, David Njoku won't shit that year. Come on.
It doesn't matter.
I think it's exaggerated how good their roster was.
Baker Mayfield didn't do anything special on that football team that couldn't have been duplicated by, for example, your other man crush, Gardner Minshew. They're all the same.
I would pick him above all of them.
They're all, Tony. They are all the same human being.
They're not.
All of them. They're the same person.
They're not. They're not.
They're identical.
They're not.
They were separated at birth.
Not.
They were separated at birth and adopted to different families.
Alex here. What's going on, C3 fam? Alex here. Just curious, like, what you guys think. Like, personal opinions. Who's going to be that starting quarterback starting week 1? Is it going to be Baker? Is it going to be Darnold? Is it going to be Cam?
Please say Jimmy G.
Curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Thanks.
Cody, who would you pick? Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield?
Matt motherfucking Corral, boy. That's who I'm picking. Glock 9, Matt Corral, coming for your neck. That's what I'm on, man. I'm about the future.
No.
You know, I'm not trying to rehash the past anymore. I'm not trying to, do the same thing that the Panthers always do and try and recycle used goods from some other team's sloppy seconds.
We're speaking the same language on that. But saying that Jimmy G, that's like kind of like saying to me is like Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold are the same person. And it's just not true, is that they might both be bad, but they're bad for different reasons.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say is that, like, maybe you could say, like, I like this car over that car, but one's got high mileage, this one's got whatever. It's like, I'm not saying either one's great, but I feel like, where is the Jimmy G love come from? People think Jimmy G is great.
Yeah.
I can't get on it. I'm sorry. I cannot. I just don't see it. I mean, at least Baker Mayfield was part of. All of a sudden, people think the Browns. Look, how about this? Is you're sitting here trying to tell me the Browns got a good fucking roster, this and that, all this bullshit. The Browns have been nothing but a joke for 30 fucking years, dude. And I'm to the point where they've kind of become the team that just everybody loves at this time of the year. Like, until I see it, like, we've only had 1 year where they were fucking good. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, their quarterback is what held them back.
Oh, gosh.
No.
All right. 2522. Go ahead.
Undoubtedly, dude. Undoubtedly.
I was going to ask with Cody. Cody, I just want to make sure the question is, it's not, you're saying Baker Mayfield is not only who you want, but who you think will be starting week 1.
No,
because the question was,
that's
what I'm wondering. Because the question was, who do we think will be starting week 1, not who do we want? Because I think we all want Corral to be starting.
Ooh, are the basically
but who do
hard
we
answer?
Will
are the Panthers going to
that
get
was
Baker
the question?
Mayfield?
Was who will be starting?
As of right now, I'm not going to change my opinion until we actually hear reports that Matt Corral is looking like he's the man for the job. Until that happens, I think Sam Darnold's starting the season for us this year.
I think it's Sam Darnold.
Right.
I put
think
money
we all
on it.
want Matt Corral, but we all think Sam Darnold will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and we hope that we don't trade
right
for anybody else.
And by the way,
Well,
Jimmy
really,
Garoppolo,
if we trade for a better start. If we
But
trade
by
for
the way,
somebody and they
okay.
don't start, I swear.
Can I just say this too? You're saying that Baker Mayfield is better. I'm saying that they're the same person. Technically, based on these same bits of information, I can say Jimmy Garoppolo has had much more playoff experience and Super Bowl experience that Baker Mayfield has never had. But yet, I'm still not here saying Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Baker Mayfield. I'm saying they're the same basic bitch. And I'm done with that for my Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think that potential is a reality that you have to take into consideration here too. Garoppolo has plateaued. There isn't getting better for him, right? He is where he is, and that's it. You know, Baker Mayfield has the potential to be a better quarterback. He's still on his rookie contract. Let's be real about something. Now, I'm not going to compare Cam Newton to Baker Mayfield, but we didn't see Cam Newton's best year until his 5th year anyway, right? Like Cam Newton didn't reach the potential that he had until his 5th year in the league, which was 2015.
Yep.
I think 13 and 14, we saw some flashes. He was nowhere near 2015 for sure.
Well, now we saw flashes in 11. Too. I mean, we saw Jimmy G. I'm just done with the Jimmy. I don't love the Jimmy. Look, the 49ers got fleeced by the Patriots. Patriots did that. Like they pulled off the big con job, which is what the Green Bay Packers should have been trying to do this whole time. Is they should have just been gone to Aaron Rodgers and said, look, this is all fake news, bro. But we're going to talk up Jordan Love like a motherfucker and about how great he looks and this and that. And they trade him. Jimmy G, look, the Patriots didn't want nothing to do with him. They didn't want him. And the 49ers bit and paid him a bunch of money. I'm not into it. Let's go to the next call.
One more thing before we go to the next call. One more thing. Carson One, if you think the Panthers are going to be bad enough to be in position to draft CJ Stroud next year, dog, I got some property to sell you on Mars.
Oh, man, we're going to be terrible. We could be terrible this
we
year.
are not going to be top 3 picks.
We're not going to be worse than the Washington Commanders.
I'll bet you
no,
right
but
now,
if we're top
we're not
6, we could
top
trade
3.
up. If we're top 6, we could be talking about getting in the top 3. You know, like we will have the position. It's the problem is if we're 12.
But by the way, if someone's available to get CJ Stroud, no one is going to trade out. Like that's the thing. You have to earn the position to get the quarterback, and the Panthers are not that bad.
Next call.
Part 3 call.
Part 3? Oh, God. This is what happens. Why do y'all got to call 3 times? I got... Holy Lord of mercy. What's your number? Hold on. 7525. He said, this ain't no part 3. Oh, this might be part.
Maybe it's weekly.
Maybe, but like I try to bounce around on the calls just because I don't want a Monday call to be the lead in, so I don't play them in order.
You have to empty out.
What is C3? You
I'm
already
not going to
know.
delete calls from Monday.
Anthony, more preferably Anthony and the Fat Fool. But man, I just wanted to call in on this beautiful Friday, sitting at home enjoying the day. You know, reading off Twitter, all this bullshit about Baker Mayfield and Jimmy. And, you know, I'm going to say it right now. I was on the Baker side, but I've drifted to the neutral ground, meaning I do not want a quarterback to come in the building.
Yeah,
I like it.
I have a strong feeling Matt Corral can take over after week 4. And this strong feeling is due to watching a lot of his film. And I'm willing to give him a chance, you know. I mean, whatever happens, happens. We go into the season, you know, maybe we can surprise some people. Defensive line is still looking a little iffy. I don't know why the fuck Fitter's sitting on his ass not signing Carlos Dunlap. Like we got to make some moves, and I just feel like we don't got a lot of depth really anywhere besides the cornerback room if you look at it. And I guess the offensive line has some decent depth now because backups like Cade Mays and
Deontay Brown are going to be subs for injuries. So I'm fine with those guys stepping in instead of Elfline or Cam Irving, for fuck's sake. But yeah, man, let's just roll with Darnold. We need to see what we have in Corral. Like, we need to play him because
we can all
there's a
agree
good
on
chance
this.
we're in the top 3 next year.
Well, I don't know.
And that's all I want to say. But yeah, man, C3 Nation, the best Panther pod on the internet. You already know.
Thank you. Good name. That's a good.
Appreciate
good
you,
name.
man. Yeah,
Can we make up, Cody? Can we make up on this? Is that we don't have to fight over Jimmy G. We don't have to fight over Baker. Can we hug and say this? Is that we don't want either?
We don't want either. Yeah, we can. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Let's hug
on that.
Oh, Tony, you can come back to bed on that one, brother. We are 1,000 on that, dude. Listen, I'm pumped for Matt Corral, and I'll reiterate this again. And by the way, shout out to Anthony. Me and Anthony have been going back and forth forever on Twitter. He's been like the biggest supporter of bringing Baker Mayfield here to the Panthers, and I let him have that opinion. I let everybody have their opinion, right? But to the point about Matt Corral, the Panthers really only have this year to truly know what they have in Matt Corral, because next year you're going to have a whole nother round of quarterback free agency, and maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe the Ravens don't extend Lamar Jackson, then maybe the Panthers want. Who knows what's going to happen next year? A third-round draft pick is not going to stop the Carolina Panthers from trying to upgrade that position. We need to see Matt Corral play NFL football in 2022.
That leads perfectly into my question right there. I was going to ask you, Cody, what if Matt Corral plays next year, like, say, 12 games, and he looks really good, but he only wins 2 games, and say we go into the draft in the top 5? Are we drafting quarterback? If Matt Corral looked really good but just didn't win, are we still drafting quarterback?
I would say if it's a scenario where we're like losing by 3 points, like we ought to do in a lot of these games, then no, I say you build the team. Go get a Will Anderson from Alabama who looks like a stud. Go and get someone to build your team. I would, but again, here's the deal though, man. Like, if we are looking at drafting a CJ Stroud or a Will Levis from Kentucky if he has a good year, or a Bryce. I'm not big on Bryce Young. People who follow me know that. But if the Panthers are in that kind of position to draft a player like that, yeah, Matt Corral is not going to be enough to stop them from drafting that premier player, especially after refusing to do so every year that Matt Rule has been here. They passed on Justin Fields. They passed on a first-round quarterback this year. They are not going to do it again next year if they're picking top 5. Also, if we're picking top 5, Matt Rule is not the coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Which then you might be talking quarterback, though.
Yeah, so this is everybody needs to put their collective energy and summon the spirit bomb known as Matt Corral. Yep, that's for all my anime nerds in the chat.
To save Matt Rule's job, Matt Corral, the man who saved Matt Rule. He's like the only thing that can save Matt Rule.
But don't you see what I'm saying? Like, Matt Rule, he's going to feel some pressure to start Matt Corral.
I really believe that. So. I think it'll be like week 3, 4, something like that. Next call. Part 2.
What's up, C3? Part 2 of my call. You already know it's Anthony and the Fat Fools once again. I call myself Anthony and the Fat Fools because Matt Rule will be a fool until he proves me otherwise. But yeah, one thing to take away, the other thing I wanted to say was one thing to take away with this Baker thing is at least you see our front office not trading for him or giving up compensation, I'm starting to feel like they want Baker to be released. or Jimmy, one of the two. If they're released and we pick them up, I'm totally fine with that. Because even though I just claimed that I'm on the side now of not wanting a quarterback, Matt Rule has to win. I don't know why fans like actually think that if he sucks again, he's gonna stay. Like, no, there is no way. That's why I was even surprised that he should have got fired this year. Because if he got fired after this year, oh man, we would be in a whole different position, knowing what our future is looking like. But we got to deal with another fucking year of this shit. It's either gonna be really bad or it's gonna be really good. And really good for Panthers fans is like 9 wins. And that's what I'm hoping for, baby. Just give us something. Maybe Sam Darnold is revamped and he's a god now. But with all
Cut
that
that comment off there.
What,
Here's part 3. We're
Part
gonna give
three.
him plenty of time.
Just say, I got into this argument with Panther fans where they're like, well, you know, does Tepper have the balls to fire Rule if we win 5 games again? And I'm just like, well, what else are we supposed to do? Like, why would he stick around here if he can't produce wins? It don't make no sense. Like, there is no process if we have 5 wins again. Like, it feels like the longer we'll keep him, the more this is just going to go on. Like, this whole quarterback situation is derived by Matt Rule, and we're going to know something soon because training camp is literally right around the corner. And
Right.
I feel like it's once Deshaun Watson is figured out on what's going to be happening there, I think this is all going to start like coming down. And I feel like Jimmy G is going to get traded soon. And there's going to be a suitor for him. I saw some things about a 3-team trade between the Browns, Panthers, and 49ers. Like, we get Mayfield and the Browns get Jimmy Garoppolo as a competent starter for Deshaun, and then the 49ers get some picks. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. Anyways, C3 Nation, keep pounding.
Do you think the Panthers or the Seahawks are more hungry for this trade, for either of these trades? I mean, obviously the Seahawks and the 49ers aren't going to do much because it's a divisional thing, but I almost feel like it's the Seahawks.
I do too, because at least we have a young quarterback that we drafted, that we at least there's an air of mystery around Matt Corral, whereas what's the kid?
Drew Lock.
Yeah, Drew Lock. Like, dude, what has he been able to show in any of his time? Yeah, dude, the Panthers don't make anyone look like fucking Patrick Mahomes, dude. So yeah, it's like, I really do think that it's Pete Carroll. And by the way, if you look at their offenses, typically they don't ask. You know, that was the whole thing why Russell Wilson left. They wanted to let Russ cook and put the ball in his hands more. They're not going to ask Baker Mayfield to do that. So to be quite honest with you, I think if I'm Baker Mayfield, the Seahawks are a good spot for him to go. And by the way, we know that's where he does want to go. People don't keep on forgetting that Baker Mayfield went on a podcast and pretty much poo-pooed the idea of even coming to the Panthers. So not only do I not want him, but he doesn't even want us, man.
Right.
So I'm like, to hell with Baker. Let him go to Seattle. You know, let Jimmy Garoppolo be someone else's problem. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but I just don't want him to be our problem this year.
I'm just saying at this point in time, we need to quit buying on the quarterback market. Like, listen, at this point in time, we have invested a lot in what we have right now. We've traded up for the 3rd round. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but like when we didn't, that was our like outside of our top pick in the 1st round, that was our that was our 2nd round pick, really, if you think about it. And so on top of that, then we've traded for Sam Darnold. He's getting paid by us. We're either going to have to release him or, you know, trade him and eat up all of his salary to somebody else. Right. That's going to be. I'm tired of trading away assets for somebody who's not a proven commodity, right? And for like, listen, at this point in time, I mean, I just don't see there being a logic behind us going after a guy when we could just like let's see what we have in our hand before we start, buying low, you know what I mean, or buying even high. With the Baker thing, like the Panthers, here's my thoughts. Right now, their thought is if they can get Baker with a trade, with the Browns eating all but what we would normally pay for Baker on the open market, that's a win for them, right? Because Baker's not going to be worth what his contract is this year. So if the Panthers can go out and get him and trade for him, I think that's their logic, is if they can get them to eat enough of that to where, like, we would have signed Baker for this amount, then that makes sense to the Panthers.
Right.
I don't think it makes sense to the Panthers, for the Panthers, in my opinion. Roll the dice that you have and let's just see where the cards fall.
Here's and I don't think this is a hot take. I think it's a real take. If I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm taking my words back about the Panthers. Because if I got two options in Seattle and the Carolina Panthers, I want to come to the Panthers. Now, look, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, legit, right? Legit threats. Tyler Lockett, underrated. Is Baker really the guy that can make Tyler? I don't know if Tyler Lockett's going to be Tyler Lockett with Drew Lock. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to be the same Tyler Lockett if Baker Mayfield's there. But look, you're talking Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. All right. So then the Panthers defense was one of the top defenses last year. Right. We weren't a great team, but neither were the Seahawks. But the last thing is, look at that division, dude. You gotta fuck with the Rams. You gotta fuck with the Cardinals. You're coming in last in the division. The Seahawks are gonna be last in the division. There's a chance the Panthers are third or even second in the division. You know what I'm saying? Like, there really is a real chance.
Don't you think that kind of lends to your point that Seattle's probably more thirsty for Baker than us because of their division?
Yes. But I almost want to change it to this. We're only putting our perspective on it. Like, if I'm Baker, I'm starting to rethink that. The Panthers may be a better spot for you than you thought originally.
Yeah, he never thought he'd end up where he's at right now.
Right, exactly.
Like, nobody expected to get to this point.
Yeah, he was saying that early before they even had Watson, probably. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just think this is Chris. Like, tell me where the Seahawks are truly a better team than us,
right?
Other than, period. And like, the only reason they've been better is because of Russell.
Coaching, maybe.
Their offensive line sucks. It's fucking horrendous, just like ours, or has been. I really could say their wide receiver core is more accomplished than ours. That's about it. I don't even know if you could do that, to be honest. They're probably comparable.
So again, it just depends on like who you believe DJ Moore to be. I think DJ Moore is a superstar.
He's 1,000 yards. He's a 3-year consecutive 1,000-yard
right,
receiver.
But nobody puts DJ in their top 3 receivers. And again, it's just because Metcalf, you have to have the quarterback.
In fantasy football next year, would you pick DK Metcalf or DJ Moore higher? I would pick
Moore.
Yeah, I think DK
DJ?
is like too much of a one-trick pony. And I think it's like Tyler Lockett has been the star of that wide receiver core. He's been the star.
Well, he's been a star. DK's been a star too.
His rookie season was it. And then he's just been temper tantrum boy on the side. And got great abs. He's a physical specimen.
Oh,
he's been bigger than.
Have you heard about his diet? Dude, apparently he says that he has a cup of coffee in the morning, 3 bags of candy in the afternoon, and a dinner. And that's all he eats in a day.
Wow. That's strange.
And he says it's 3 bags of candy.
I don't know how you do that, because if you work out a lot, you need fuel.
Yeah.
Like, you really do need fuel if you work out a lot. Like,
you can't physically build that muscle without the protein. Like, there's just no way to do it.
You need calories. You need energy. You need energy to go work in the gym as hard as you can. It's crazy. Let's go to the next call.
Yeah, it's me, T-Dog. I'm just calling here real quick, man.
T-Dog, what up?
Basically, say, man, make sure you get a wipe off. You motherfuckers subscribe, man. I just be pissing me off. Like right now, I'm on the way home. Driving on the way home. I get back to the clock every night. I mean, I'll be like listening to the show on the way home and look at them. Look at all the views. Look at the fucking lights. Shit not happening. It's not. People got them for it, man. These dudes be on here every Friday, every goddamn Tuesday, or anytime you have any breaking news, man. So it's nothing to goddamn.
Thank you,
Just like us, subscribe.
Man.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Like us, goddamn subscribe. It's too easy, man. With that being said, fuck Baker Mayfield. He's a fucking bum.
Yeah,
tell we bring in another fucking bum who goddamn Sam Donald goddamn draft class. Two fucking bums. You know what I'm saying? Sam Donald, Baker Mayfield, fucking bums. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna sit this fucking year out like everybody else should and just wait for Matt Rule to get fired by week 5 or week 6. And wait for goddamn the new coach, the new regime and everything.
Ben McAdoo.
Congratulations on Luke calling somebody games now. That's going to be super dope because Luke is so smart and informative about breaking down plays on offense and defense. So it would be super breaking stuff down. And it's really going to be neat to see how he got to break down this offense. This offense is bullshit. Luke Kuechly going to let stuff off. That's enough, man. I ain't want to goddamn be on here rambling. Everybody have a great night, you know, and make sure you hit the like button and make sure you got to subscribe. Y'all boys keep up the great work. But
I'm giving C-Dog right now the call of the night.
Hell yeah, man.
That's the call of the night for me. Is not just because he told us to like and subscribe. I mean, obviously, but I mean, like, that's kind of where we're at is like,
yeah,
all of this is about the same. And to give Cody is like, it might be different reasons, but like about the same product at the most. And really, that's probably what we're going to be thinking about is we talked about this on last week's show. Matt Rule being the odds-on favorite to be the first fired in the NFL. It's like right now, we're not only are we just kind of thinking about like the best case scenario, but even when we're talking about CJ Stroud or whoever you guys were talking about for quarterback, that means Matt Rule is fired. And odds are, if it's that bad, he ain't making it past the bye. You know?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see how Matt Rule's NFL coaching career turns out. It is, like you said, Cody, at the beginning of the show, prove it. You're like, there's no leash. There's no leash for Sam Darnold. There's no leash for Matt Rule. There's no leash for any of these guys. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, what's good, fellas? It's Corey calling in. Just wanted to give my
What's up, Corey?
Obligatory Baker Mayfield take
Corey.
every Panthers fan. Just seeing the news come out each and every day, man. So I mean, it's looking more and more like the deal is going to get done, especially with the story coming out apparently that the Browns are willing to pay half the salary. I'm kind of just prepping for it, man, and like everybody has one side or the other. Whether they feel, I feel like more people are leaning towards the not wanting Baker side, which I think is pretty obvious. But everybody can call somebody just like mid or say they're great or say that they have this team or whatever. It's like Baker Mayfield is not a franchise savior. He's not. And we're not the type of team that is like a Baker Mayfield level player away. Now, he's better than Sam Darnold, yes. Like, I'll give him that. He's not a terrible quarterback. But we're talking about somebody who has yet to put together 2 consecutive good seasons in the NFL. And, like, not to, like, literally, y'all, we're the Panthers. What are we known for? Like, we haven't had back-to-back winning seasons in our almost 30-year history. Like, we've been bad the last few years. But even when we were good, we haven't followed it up with a consecutive winning season after that. And now we're getting a quarterback who hasn't had back-to-back winning seasons, has had back-to-back good seasons under his belt. His best year was his rookie year. This man hasn't thrown for over 250 yards a game since his rookie year. Like, he's not the kind of quarterback that's going to, take you to the and everybody talks about, he led Cleveland to the playoffs and they won, and you have to look at everything in context, man. Like, of course, we all know that he had a great supporting cast, great offensive line, amazing running game, defense, all that good stuff. But they went to the playoffs and they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all. If y'all remember, that's the same Pittsburgh Steelers team that went 10-0. Everybody was calling them the worst undefeated team in the league, and they finished the season losing 6 straight games. That's who they beat in the playoffs, yo. And then they lost the next week after that, which I believe Baker actually had a good game that game, and it was close. It's not like they got blown out or anything, but the point remains, like, they went to the playoffs. They had that good year. They won against a pretty mediocre team, and he came out the next year and threw almost 1-to-1 interception ratio. They were not good, and he's coming off a shoulder injury, y'all. Like, what are we talking about here? There's literally no positives to us getting this man, but I feel like it's going to happen. So I think where we need to take all of our efforts into thinking about as a team is how we're going to get rid of Sam Darnold, because there's no reason to have all 3 of them guys in the same quarterback room. That's really what we need to focus on now. I hope the deal don't go through, but it's looking like it's going to, man. But
Tony,
that's all I
give
got
this man the applause.
I appreciate y'all for everything. Y'all keep putting out the good content.
Give this man the applause. This man was in our cat calls.
I got a couple of
just
things
preaching, man.
Go ahead, Greg.
How about that stat too? That he hasn't thrown for over 250
I'm so
yards
glad you pulled that up.
since his rookie season. This is the guy that everybody wants. Come on, man.
I'm so glad you pulled that up,
true?
that particular stat, because I looked that set up. I agree with almost everything this guy says right here. I really do. So I'm not trying to disagree with you, but that stat, I need more on that. Do you mean average 250 yards? Because I'm looking at last year alone, and he has 3 games over 250 yards, and he has 2 games with 247, 248. I mean, 250 yards. So I need to know that stat, because that didn't sound right.
Passing yards?
Yeah, passing yards. So does he mean average, or does he mean hasn't had a game where he's thrown 250 yards? Because that's not true.
Somebody's gonna have to look that up. I'm
looking at it right now.
Greg just did.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So
share it, Greg.
I do know that Browns fans, they would call a Baker Mayfield special a game where the stat line is under 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Man, that's like Cam Newton.
They call that. Nah, don't even do that bullshit. Cam Newton's fucking infinitely better than that shit.
That happened.
Baker Mayfield,
he was not historically week on.
Dude, but Baker had a much better team around him than Cam Newton. Here we go again, man.
That happened in 6 games.
Everybody does all this making excuses for all these lame ass fucking quarterbacks that have never elevated their football team, and then people want to pretend like a healthy Cam Newton wouldn't have done 10 times.
Nobody is pretending that. But what I'm saying is that Cam never Cam was not consistently a prolific passer. And what I mean by that is he consistent. No, it doesn't matter. It's like Cam would have 220 and 70 yards on the ground. So you could say, oh, he did other things. But I'm just saying this is he was not a week on 300-yard guy.
Yeah.
With an offense.
So it's not about this. And stop with the Browns having the best roster, man. Fuck that.
No, you just want to take away from them.
No. Oh, Denzel Ward is so fucking awesome, who's never played.
He just got paid big time just now.
He played early. He's
recently.
been hurt his whole fucking time.
Dude, they have players. They have players on that football team, and not all of those stats were on Cam Newton. And that's the main point of this entire thing. The supporting cast matters. And what I'm trying to tell everybody is that Baker Mayfield was one of the weakest links on those Browns teams that made it kind of far. It's also not a coincidence that Cam Newton was in the best version of the Panthers offense. His first year in the NFL, they were running 2 tight end sets and had Steve Smith, and he passed for over 4,000 yards.
This is only draft heads think that these people are good.
And to be fair,
and I don't want to please.
People?
I don't want to. All the people that say the fucking Browns have this great roster, fuck that. Odell Beckham Jr. was coming off of 2 fucking injuries, not the same Odell. And don't hit me this is like he was so fucking great in the Rams. He was pretty good. He was good.
Baker
Don't tell
got
me
him hurt.
that Jarvis Landry was the fucking best thing ever.
Right.
I'm sorry. Their roster was good and better than it was used to be and potentially good. But I'm tired of this idea that they were good on paper and they weren't good. And the last thing, I don't want to, please don't misconstrue my statement about Cam Newton and being the same thing. It's not an apples to apples because there are a lot of different things Cam did. What I'm saying is this, is that if you want to pick a stat, cherry pick a stat and say over 250 yards, there were a lot of people that told us that Cam Newton wasn't good because he didn't throw over 250 yards all the time.
Yeah, but
sorry,
it's not the same
like they told us that all the
conversation
time.
with
So I just feel like it's like an arbitrary, like let's just not arbitrarily act like that's like the deal.
How about this? Baker Mayfield got Odell Beckham Jr.'s ACL torn. On the play that he tore his ACL, he drastically underthrew a pass that Odell Beckham
so let's
had
go
to
find
come back
every
to
quarterback in the world that has
hit.
fucking ruined a player.
And
it's plenty.
And
Baker
let's say
Mayfield
too,
is inaccurate.
Baker Mayfield got better last year after Odell Beckham left. First of all, second of all, the Browns have a good team. They have a good team of high draft picks because they've been in the lottery in the top 5 for the last 7-8 years. So they have a lot of young, what was drafted as high talent draft picks. Doesn't mean they're all fantastic players, and it doesn't mean that all of them were fantastic coming out like their first 3 or 4 years. We were just talking about Devontae Adams the other day. Like we were talking about how we missed on the trade on drafting Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams was garbage his first 4 years. Look at the stats. Garbage. It was his fifth
Baker
year
Mayfield,
he broke out. You know, I mean,
career
sometimes it
average
happens.
61% completion rate.
But okay, but no one's gonna say that it's because
just said he was
Baker didn't
inaccurate.
have
So what does that
talent
mean?
at the receiver position? Like if you were gonna pick,
well, you know what?
If
It's
you were
like I
gonna
don't care.
pick the
I don't
supporting
care about
cast
that, Cody.
for the
We're not
Browns
saying
and
that.
the Panthers, it matters.
So who are the wide receivers? Tell me. Let's compare them. Let's say DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson right now. Who are the wide receivers the Browns had a combo that's better than that? Like hand over foot better than that is what you're arguing. Who is it?
Yeah,
It's not the regurgitated Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
Say what you want about Odell Beckham Jr. He's better than Robbie Anderson.
But is he better than DJ Moore? Is he better than DJ Moore? Or her Odell Beckham?
He was
probably not anymore.
Because Jarvis Landry.
Not anymore, but also, guys, there was an entire video of Odell Beckham Jr. being wide open, and Baker Mayfield either not seeing him
I can do the same thing with Sam and DJ Moore. I can do the same thing with Sam and DJ Moore.
Right, they're comparable talents.
Moore. Yeah.
To me, they're the same person. If you put Sam Darnold, if you did the opposite and put Baker on the teams that Sam was on, and Sam was on the team that Baker was on, we would be talking the exact same way about Baker Mayfield that we would be about Sam Darnold.
You might.
He does not overcome the lack of talent around him. He just doesn't.
Baker Mayfield had 321 yards in week 1 last year. He had 305 in week 5. And that's the only 2 I see over 300 yards passing.
I thought I saw 3, but okay. So there's a 247. There's a 246.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
come on, that's
look, we don't have to shit on Baker Mayfield to still say that we don't want the trade. That's all I'm saying.
Y'all don't have to. I'm gonna shit all over.
Hey, good fellas. It's Corey calling in. Just wanted to give my obligatory Baker Mayfield take as every Panthers fan.
Wait, did we just listen to this?
Yeah.
Hey, Corey again. I guess a part 2 of my call, but I also wanted to note too that being the type of player that Baker Mayfield is, I don't think he's garbage. Like getting that out the way. I think there is a very real possibility that if he came here his first year here, he would have kind of like a career renaissance, if you will. Like let's say that all of our pieces stay healthy, like everything stays upright. Christian McCaffrey, he's doing the things that he can do, right? Offensive line pans out the way that we think it should. I think that Baker can be successful with just having a change of scenery. He wants to play. He wants to win. Like, he's not anybody that will like give up on the team, right? And if you put the players around him, I think that a new change of scenery would be good for him. And we could possibly win some games. He could have like a good year. But I think Baker's big problem, he hasn't had back-to-back good years. I don't think he is consistently that type of guy. Because like I said, if everything stays upright, we would have a chance to be good. But if it's like kind of like how Sam was his first 3 games, maybe with just a little bit better, because I think Baker just has more moxie than Sam. He just knows a little bit more about football. Sam just be throwing shit into coverage. But anyway, what was I about to say? I kind of lost my point. Yeah, I think Baker would benefit from that. But if everything didn't go exactly as planned, if C-Mac missed some games, if the offensive line kind of struggled, if anything like that, he's not that type of player to overcome that, to uplift us to be something like that. I think he's kind of a plus game manager quarterback, I guess is my main point. But he could possibly have a good year his first year with us, man, but I don't think he's our future. Like, I think we would make a mistake signing him to a long-term contract and then be trying to offload him the next couple of years, like the Browns are trying to do now. But
thank you, Corey. You know that Cam Newton has a lower career passing completion percentage than Baker Mayfield, not by much.
And it's not because it's not because he's worse or less accurate than Baker Mayfield.
Not saying that. I'm not even really ready to say he's an inaccurate quarterback, but to say that Baker is inaccurate I don't know if it's fair. The other thing is crazy about this. Cam he did have 2 300-yard games in 2020 with the Patriots, like 2 big games. But this is wild. I was looking back in 2019. He only played 2 games with the Carolina Panthers, right? That was when he got hurt. We were not at this game, even though I thought we were. How many times have I said that, CK?
A lot.
We were at the Rams game, the one before it, right?
Yes,
that's the one we went to. Crazy. Cam Newton threw 333 yards in that game. He also was 25 for 51. So, but gosh, how did he had one leg and he threw 333 yards? Just crazy. Sorry, just stats that were just sticking out.
Before we go on, like, listen, I'm not some Odell Beckham Jr. super fan here, okay?
Yes, you are, clearly.
No, the fuck I'm not. In fact, I'm anything but. Odell Beckham Jr. has that diva mentality like a lot of number 1 wide receivers do. However, open is open. And DJ Moore has been the perfect example that if you don't have a top quarterback in the NFL getting you the football, you're not going to be respected.
Do you remember when you told me that Max Stafford was basic?
One of the guys, yeah, and look what a better team did for him. It made everyone think that he's the top fucking 10 quarterback in the NFL. It's an illusion, dude. But again, that even furthers my point. The quarterback and receiver positions are tethered to one another. Nobody thought DeAndre Hopkins.
Sean McVay.
Nobody thought DeAndre Hopkins was one of the better wide receivers in the NFL until he had Deshaun throwing him the ball. But by the way, he was also a 1,000-yard receiver just about every year before he had Deshaun Watson. My point being, a number 1 wide receiver is a number 1 wide receiver if you like him or not. Odell Beckham was basically traded there to be a number 1 wide receiver, and their first overall pick in the draft,
he went to a team where a guy
could not reliably get him the football.
Oh, you mean to the Browns? No, he was traded to the Browns because he was a headache with the Giants, and Dave Gettleman doesn't like anybody that has any mouth on them or anything like that. I don't think it's that. Beckham has struggled with injuries. He's struggled with injuries.
Because of Baker.
The fact is that the fact that he played very well in Los. Oh, could you say this? That Matt Stafford tore his ACL.
What do you mean? Did he?
No,
you just told me that Baker Mayfield ruined his.
Right, it was because of the throw that Baker Mayfield threw that wasn't on the mark.
Didn't
no, but Baker Mayfield. I mean, Odell during the Super Bowl got his
move.
No, he got his foot stuck in the turf while he was running a route.
I know, but like you're like acting like Baker did this to this.
Yeah,
dude.
because
I
they're
just
not the
feel
same. Baker
Well,
got Odell Beckham hurt. If we need to find the play, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'm right
could
about
you?
this too, man.
Find the play for him because I just
saying Odell's bad,
I'll
but he's
find
not fucking a top. He's
I'm
not
not
a top,
even going to
he's
show
not a
that.
top
I'm not
five
even.
receiver.
I'm not even going to show the Odell's father video. I'm going to show the
because
the,
it was also PR to get him out of there. Like, I mean, there was a concerted effort to have a giant temper tantrum to get the fuck out of the Browns. And you can't act like it's that. Then you know what is then DJ Moore should do it. Then everybody should do it. I just don't think like I just don't like, oh, we're going to see Odell wasn't happy enough.
But it's frustrating too, because I mean, like, you're saying that because the ball was thrown in the wrong place, that was what caused the ACL tear. But had he caught that same ball and not torn his ACL, the narrative would be an amazing throw, an amazing catch.
Yeah,
and there would be no problem with it.
Once I find the play,
you know?
It's like corollary, not causal. This is all corollary evidence.
When you underthrow the football so bad that the receiver has to run back in the opposite direction and run into the defensive back to try and make a play.
Tom Brady has
ball.
done that to people. Like, I mean, we can fucking do a million.
It doesn't matter. Baker still got him hurt.
Actually, I would say this is I think that this picture that Odell had commissioned is childish.
I love it.
It's childish.
I love it.
It's childish.
So hold on, didn't Odell get hurt in the Super Bowl too?
You know what? It should be Matt Stafford picking his ass up. How about that?
Matt Stafford one you're talking about? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find it on YouTube. It's not on Twitter.
I'm just saying this is, man. Look, miss me with
once Odell you see the play, it's gonna be abundantly obvious to everyone that Baker Mayfield got him hurt.
I've seen Cam Newton get dudes fucking wrecked before, dude.
Not like Baker.
I mean, it's just kind of part of the game that like this shit happens. And I'm not like you do not like Baker, but instead he got this one play that fucked up Beckham. Then you could say Eli did that to Odell. You could say, like, we could go down a list of fucking everybody who is fucking left. Everybody hung out to dry,
right,
and ruined. How many times did Cam Newton throw it high and a dude get fucking wrecked getting it? I didn't go, oh, well, fucking Cam Newton sucks.
But why does that explain away all the numerous times that Baker Mayfield does? I think the part
is you're being too hard on Baker.
No, you're not being hard enough. This guy has real problems.
I said I didn't want to trade for him.
Everyone's trying to explain him away because, he was on the Browns.
I said I didn't want to trade for him. I said I did not want to trade for him.
But you're still defending him like,
I'm trying to say this is you're like.
He was on the Browns.
Oh, my God.
Cody has a hatred for Mayfield.
Dude, I don't stand that.
Who's won more playoff games, Deshaun Watson or Baker? Or is it like the same? Probably.
No,
like
Deshaun's won like
twice as many. 2.
All right, let's go last.
Hey, how about this? It probably neither won as much as Jimmy Garoppolo.
Sure.
All right. See, so it's all corollary evidence. Is what I'm saying. I can pick all of this up, and it's just like. Whatever supports our argument, you can find. It's like dismissing all evidence that doesn't support the argument and embracing all evidence that does. And I'm sorry, I draw the line at he got Odell.
No, that's what you're doing. No, that's what you're doing. No, that is you're trying to explain away. You're trying to explain.
What about how?
Well, no, quarterbacks do that all the time. Cam Newton almost got such and such killed.
No, like if we want to look on an individual play-by-play basis,
you're trying to say,
we can find every quarterback.
If you're playing quarterback, it happens. You're gonna get your receivers killed sometimes. So, I'm telling you, Baker does it as a higher tick than other quarterbacks.
That's just a factual statement. It's not me defending Baker. It's just a factual statement.
His one is a higher tick than quarterbacks. Who else has he done it to? It's gotten injured or that's happened to. Like, I mean, how is it at a higher tick?
Dude, I'm gonna ask y'all to do this. Go and look up because everybody everyone looks
the
up
kids
highlights.
are upset.
No, everyone look. No. Listen, everyone looks up highlights. Oh, they go look at Baker Mayfield highlights and they go, oh yeah, I want that guy on the team. No, go and look up Baker Mayfield's interceptions on Twitter. There's a 2-minute long video of Baker Mayfield throwing
Cam Newton
boneheaded interceptions and telling that he doesn't look different than Sam Darnold.
Any player.
5 years of defending Cam Newton against these similar. You know what? How about this? Why don't you go and look how many 4-yard passes that were wide open that Cam Newton missed? But the hardest thing for Cam was to throw it from me to that chair over there for a long time. Cam Newton would be like this. Oh, I just need to dump it off. And he would just fucking either throw a missile over his head. You're right. But I could be like, oh, well, look at that. That's what people did. You're doing the same thing.
You're trying to make those comparisons to explain away Baker Mayfield's inadequacy.
Not explain away.
That is what you're doing.
Look,
that's what
I can show you. I can show you a Tom Brady low light reel real quick, and I bet you it looks the same as everybody else's low light reel. Bad.
Just like Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield.
Just like everybody's highlight. I'm just saying.
We're about to get a divorce right now on this podcast. It's the longest running Panthers podcast. This is going to come to an end. No, I'm not kidding. Like, look, the kids are upset. The kids are crying in the bedroom. They've locked themselves in the closet.
Are we really going to end our marriage over Baker fucking Mayfield, dude?
We're not going to end it. Not at all. Not at all. But come on, saying I'm explaining it away. No, I said I don't want to trade for Baker.
Dude, it just means that it just means the makeup sex is even better, dude.
Oh gosh, now you're the gay one. I'm supposed to be the gay one. Next call.
Game is happy, bro. I'm gay as fuck.
Here to talk tonight about this Baker Mayfield situation that's going on.
Damn it!
I feel like we are talking about a topic that we've been talking about for literally 3 months, and it's kind of comedic, honestly, because you're like comparing one quarterback to another that have basically got the same skills.
True.
But anyways, I want to change the topic about the quarterbacks and talk about rather that we need to talk about the front office and the decision making that's been going on with it. Although, Hurney started off with this situation, getting us to where we are now. Rule has now went through 4 or 5 different quarterbacks in his time here in Carolina. So, what is it going to take, for us to settle on a quarterback? Or what is it going to take for us to find a quarterback if we're just shifting through quarterbacks so constantly that we can't give a quarterback an opportunity to actually prove themselves? So my whole thing right now is, we drafted a quarterback. There'd be no point in trading for another quarterback when you already have a quarterback on the roster that, could use a second chance, 100%. Depending on how bad the offensive line was. But you got a rookie quarterback that has a lot of different skill set that you believe that could be a franchise quarterback. So why not let those two just battle it out and let the best quarterback take the starting job? I mean, my honest opinion is let's get this young guy, Matt Corral, out there and let's see what he's got. Amen. There's no point in trading for Baker Mayfield. He's going to be on a 1-year deal, and then we're going to have to pay him again. So why not just let Matt Corral take the helm, or let Sam Darnold, let them both battle it out, see who can get the quarterback spot. Anyways, guys, enjoy the podcast as usual. And this is just my take.
No, that's our take, bro.
I don't like
that's your and our
talking about this quarterback situations because, it's just.
Don't worry. We're
so
fine, naked
every now and then. So thank you, guys. Catch you guys next time.
This spammer, this naked.
No, you blocked Daniel Castro. You got to unblock.
No, I did not.
Yes, on StreamYard it says Daniel Castro was blocked.
How do I undo it? Oh God, yeah, I did. I clicked the wrong one. How do you undo it?
You'll have to go into your.
Yeah, well, let me undo it.
Sorry, Daniel. We'll get it sorted out, brother. Don't go nowhere.
Is it under guest maybe? No. All right, I'll figure out. Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to get rid of these naked chicks. Should have kept them. We need them. I agree. That's why I'm trying to say I'm not defending Baker Mayfield because I agree 100 is that if anything we shouldn't have traded for Sam Darnold. So no.
Are you trying to unblock him, or you want me to try and figure it out?
Yeah, if y'all can. I don't know how to do it.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Well, I can do it from Tony's end. Y'all go
Please do that. So that is, I agree. I agree 100 with that take. Is that we made this bed, now we got to sleep in it, and Matt Corral's the person that could make it exciting. That's it. All right. I think that's it. I don't want to talk about anything else. I want to fight no more. We're done. Actually, we did.
I'll tire you out, won't I?
We had
I'll
this
fucking
one.
make it. I'll drag you into the 5th round, bring you into deep waters, and make you submit to my will. Let's go.
Build
Daniel,
your
I'm gonna get
offense.
you unblocked, bro. I promise.
I unhid him.
Okay, Daniel, if you're still there, send us a message, see if you can talk to us. If not, I'll try and. we'll have to
Okay,
figure it
so $15 to build your
yeah,
offense.
this will be fun.
So on the let's just go row by row. Is there a $5 player you want? And I say yes.
I can't see.
Cam Newton. Here are the $5 players: Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Steve Smith, Masim Muhammad, Greg Olson.
Okay,
$4.
Daniel's back. We're good.
Good. All right. $4 players. So is Delhomme, Stewart, DJ Moore, Ted Ginn Jr., Wesley Walls. So how about this? Is what I would say is that who do you not count as a $5 player in the $5 row? So I think Cam Newton is a $5 player. I'm
maybe
almost
Moose.
The only player that you can, I feel, argue about is Moose and Muhammad.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there anyone that's going to argue that Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Steve Smith, and Greg Olson aren't $5? Like, come on, that's easy.
Yeah.
Ooh. I would say this is to me is all right. It's 3 players. All right, or is it 4? It's 4 players. It's Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Steve Smith, and Olsen. All right. Actually, and I don't think Masim Muhammad is a $5. I think he's in the $4 range.
You have $15. So theoretically, you could take 5 players. You
could take 2, and then. But all right. So here is this: is who do you pick on this row? It's to me, it's a coin flip between Steve Smith and Cam Newton.
Do we have to pick a $5 player?
No, you don't. You don't.
Okay. So we're all picking a team right now?
Yeah, $15.
Yeah, so,
you
like,
build your
if you
team.
have-
Everybody build their team then.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Panthers Wire put this out. $15 to build your offense. What formation are you?
I'll write it down.
Are you putting up? All right. I put mine out. I put mine on Twitter, so I'll pull that up just to make sure that
I
keep it the same. But
Dude, Steven Davis is a $1. Boom. What the fuck?
I can't
right away. Steven Davis had like 1,400 yards on that Super Bowl run. Steven Davis for $1 is the biggest steal on that whole list, bro.
Are we talking about in their prime? I'm assuming, right?
When they played for the Carolina Panthers. How about that? When they just played for us.
Who were their $4 players? I can't read the list.
Delhomme, Stewart, Moore.
hey, I'm gonna try and bring up a better photo that people can see.
Okay.
Dude, Steven Davis is the steal. First of all, there's an like.
Can y'all see that a little bit better, chat?
Yeah,
Let me know.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, so right away, I want Steven Davis for $1.
Okay, so you want
how many
Steven
players
Davis?
do we gotta pick? We gotta pick one of each. We gotta pick one running back, one quarterback.
I mean,
I think whatever you think your team would be best.
You just have to spend $15.
Yeah, whatever you think you can build the best team with.
I want Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Steven Davis. That would be 11. Then I'm gonna hit you up with can I get a 4? 2? Who is a good? Can't see.
Oh yeah, let me leave
leave
the comments down.
All right, we're fighting. We're still fighting over comments now. Take it down. All right. Oh, don't like anybody on the $2 list. Deshaun Foster was cool, like he's straight, but the idea of Deshaun Foster, like they mixed these up. Steven Davis should be the $2. Deshaun Foster should be the 1. I want Cam.
Who's 3? 3 is Steve Berline. Who's like D'Angelo Williams? Who's the third one?
$3 is Steve Berline, D'Angelo Williams. That is Mark Carrier,
Mark Carrier,
Brandon LaFell, and Chris Magnum.
Moore.
In what
For me.
world is Devin Funches going to be at a higher level than Curtis Samuel?
Amen.
Or Robbie
This is what
Anderson,
I
for that
say.
matter.
This is my team. I want Cam Newton, Steve Smith, and Steven Davis. That's $11.
Kelvin Benjamin, $2.
I want Steven Davis, Steve Smith, Cam Newton. Throw in. I'll take Robbie Anderson to make it $12, and then I got $3 left, and I'll go Chris Mangum. I guess. I mean, I got to get a tight end at that point. But like,
I mean,
that would be my team: Newton, Smitty, Mangum, Davis, Anderson.
All right. CK, Greg, you don't want to?
Is that Kenyon Barner down there? Yeah. Or not
I'm the
Kelvin-
worst at
Kelvin
these,
Benjamin.
Where is Kenyon Barner? What's his number?
It's Kelvin Benjamin, not Kenyon
Oh no,
Barner.
yeah. I mean, the idea that man, I'm sorry. Like, good God, Steven Davis was a monster.
Didn't you? I mean,
I built my team. You
put mine
built your
together.
team.
So put
I
mine
built
together,
my
hang on.
team.
I'm going to take Curtis Samuel, Steve Smith, Jake Delhomme. That's 10. I need. Give me a.
Steven Davis had 1,444 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns for us in 2003.
I'm gonna go Steven Davis.
Good God, 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons over. He had 3 seasons over 1,400 yards rushing and 4 over 1,300. It's crazy.
And Morgan.
Fucking
Let's have one
monster.
more. I'll go
It's
ahead
really
and throw Ed Dixon in there as a blocking tight end.
Okay, so who's your team?
It's going to be Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith, Curtis Samuel, Ed Dixon, Morgan, and Davis.
I feel like CK he was really frugal with his picks. Like,
did you get the 15?
What's that?
Is that $15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Greg, what say you, man?
Okay, so I'm going with dual running back threat here. I'm gonna go with D'Angelo Williams for $3. I'm gonna go with Steven Davis for $1. I'm gonna throw Steve Smith on there and DJ Moore to have some good targets, and I'm gonna give Kerry Collins the ball to toss it to him. And I think you put a championship team together right there.
And no tight end.
No
If
tight
I
end. Don't
could
need
do
it.
that.
Don't need it. Yeah.
Tony, did you say your list? Say your list again.
Mine is Cam Newton, and Steve Smith. So I got 2 $5 players. Then I got Steven Davis makes 11. Then I went Robbie Anderson makes 12, and then I hit you with the Jeff. Is that right? 10. Newton, Smith, Davis, Samuel, and then I'll spend the last on the whoever the best tight end I can get is.
Ed Dixon, I guess.
Okay.
Down there. Yeah.
Nah, 3. Who is this? Chris Mangum. Mangum.
There you go.
All right,
Chris
bro. Are y'all
Mangum.
ready for the best list?
No,
I got the
it's not.
best
If
list.
it's not, if
I
Steven
already said
Davis
mine.
isn't on it,
I already
then
have
it
the
doesn't
best.
matter.
No,
Yeah.
the best list is 1,000% mine, dude. Cam Newton is my quarterback. My running back, I'm spending $3. I'm going D'Angelo Williams.
Okay.
I'm going to spend another $5 on Steve Smith.
Okay.
I'm going to spend $1 on Robbie Anderson.
Oh.
And I'm going to spend $1 on Ed Dixon. Let's fucking roll, boy.
Oh man, dude,
That's
my guys with
squad.
smoke ears, man. Are you kidding me?
Bro, no, I got that squad, man. D'Angelo Williams can do everything with the football. I got
Your team has
Steve
cancer.
Smith.
You have cancer on your team. Robbie
Oh,
Anderson.
whatever.
Man.
We
It's
made
my
it
spread.
work.
I had Robbie
Hey,
Anderson on my team.
We got some attitude.
At least
on
nobody
our
picked
team.
Curtis Samuel over. Well, actually, CK did.
Can I say that I'm
Curtis Samuel
disappointed?
played but
over
like
Robbie
5
Anderson.
games.
Can I just say I'm disappointed that nobody picked Greg Olson?
I had to choose between. Oh yeah, it was tough, man. I had to choose. I could only do one $5 player, and it was Greg Olsen and Steve Smith. I think with Steve Smith and DJ Moore, I could get a better offense.
Well, because the thing is you can't because then you can't get if you did Greg Olsen and Steve Smith, you're at 10, and then if you do you need a quarterback.
Right. My most elite player.
Yeah, maybe you go Kerry Collins,
yeah.
calling them all in. I mean, Steve Berline had one good season.
Steve Berline was a good
Kerry Collins just calling him the N-word all the time.
Oh, I don't like that. Dang
yeah.
I was just thinking
Kerry
talent.
Collins.
Wait, what?
Dang it.
Wait, what was that?
I forgot about that. Dang it, I got to take him off my list.
He got beat. He got a fight. He was using the N-word in the locker room back in 95, 96. Kerry Collins. He was he started in our inaugural season, dude.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Second season. Yeah, we're in the first.
So what, he got fucked up?
Yeah, then he went and rejuvenated his career in New York and turned out to be pretty good. Like, but the thing is Cam Newton, Jake Delhomme are hands down our best quarterbacks in our history. Right? I think Greg Olsen is very good, very, very good. But I would not say that he's in the same conversation as Cam Newton, Steve Smith. And I think the problem with Christian McCaffrey is you just have to say he's hurt all the time.
All right.
Yeah, but you don't. Again, it's going back to those receiving positions being dependent upon quarterback, who is Cam Newton, without Greg Olsen being his number one option for all those important years, man. He went 3 years of 1,000 yards. Greg Olsen was our number one receiver, and the man is a tight end.
That is awesome, but that is becoming more common with tight ends. Kelsey's had 1,000 yards every year he's been in the NFL. Andrews has had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Like, it's because of the changing of the game, it's becoming more common for tight ends, especially elite ones, to get that.
Sure, but I still say it doesn't take away.
No,
Greg Olsen was the first to 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
Listen to this, though, Cody. Is Stephen Davis. So, like, Stephen Davis has had a better career than Christian McCaffrey already. Like, in 1999, he rushed 290 carries for 1,405 yards for 17 touchdowns. Yeah. In 2000, he had 332 carries for 1,318 yards and 11 touchdowns. In 2001, he rushed the ball 356 times for 1,400 yards, 1,432, 1,004. And then he came to Carolina on the Super Bowl run, and he had 1,444 yards for us, dude.
Yeah.
Like Christian McCaffrey had the best. He's had 1,300-yard season rushing. I'm just saying, Stephen Davis is kind of like an under. I know you can't remember. You don't know him, but this dude was fucking amazing. Now, most of his best years were with Washington, but he had 1,400-yard with us. We went to the Super Bowl. We ran him and ran him and ran him. For him being $1 is like, this is the thing, is they should flip-flop Deshaun Foster and Stephen Davis on this list.
Yeah.
No, that's that DraftKings find right there. That's when you're building the team and you find that one guy that's way underpriced.
Just like pick him. I just want to pick him 12 times. All right.
Yes.
Do you think Jonathan Stewart is overvalued at $4?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's him and D'Angelo basically had the same career.
I think D'Angelo's better than John Stewart, to be truly honest with you. But I think they're both pretty close to being the same.
I think it's embarrassing that Kelvin Benjamin's worth $2.
Yeah, it is.
Like, that's come on. Like, who are we kidding? You know what I mean?
I know. I do like how Brandon LaFell is worth $3, who I think is an underrated Carolina Panther.
Very underrated.
He got so much shit though. People used to dump on him.
Dude, in 2013, he was fucking dynamite.
All right. Let's go ahead and ice some fools up and get out of here.
All right.
Does anybody? Oh, did you guys see this real quick? Is Chase Daniels? I gotta put this tweet up. This is fucking crazy. This is wild. Look at this. All right, so this is
legalized bank robbing. I'm the best when it comes to
Chase Daniel. Will have made over $41 million in the NFL. which makes him number 62 all-time in NFL QB earnings. He started 5 games in 13 years. He averaged 6.5 yards per attempt. An absolute backup QB legend. $41 million. Chase Daniels, you're my hero. So that one's pretty good. But I thought that was fun. Do you guys have any ice ups you want to share tonight?
Yeah, I'll go real quick. I'm going to ice up Facebook. I do not have Facebook. I've been looking for a car for the last 3 weeks. If you don't have Facebook, it's almost impossible to doing this stuff. And thank goodness my wife does. But it's like they've completely taken over any kind of bartering systems and trading between people. Like if you don't have Facebook, you can't get involved in this because everything does. Cars.com, Auto Trader, nothing, man. And I also want to ice up people who put ads for vehicles on and leave stuff out. Like I've driven to Raleigh, I've driven to almost Charlotte, to Salisbury, to Lexington. I drove out to all kinds of different places over the last tons and tons of miles, and gas is expensive. I got this one car the other day, and this guy didn't take pictures of the interior. When I got there, like it was Dodge Dakota, right? And on the very back, you know how you go to the store and you find those chrome letters that you can spell stuff out with for like science projects and stuff? Yeah. Like on the back of this, and not even placed in places would be like in the middle of the tailgate, is 4x4, and it's like crooked. And V8, which this truck was neither. Yeah. 4x4, no V8, right? So I get in this truck, and I start it up, and it sounds good. And I go to pop the hood, and whenever I do it, I go to the front, and I can't find the thing to lift up the hood, and I lift it up, and the hood, everything under the hood just looks absolutely horrible. Like there's the reasons why this guy didn't have his picture on here. I go into there to release the parking brake, and there's no parking brake. I have to reach under the dash and find the cord. And when I pull the cord, he tells me the parking brake light doesn't come off. And don't worry about the check engine light. The engine runs fine. It must just be broken. So I got in the car, and I drove it around the block, and turned right back around, parked it, and shook his hand. And I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But to all those people out there trying to sell vehicles, like, be honest about it, man. Like, if you got a piece of shit, don't try to sell somebody a piece of shit, because people will see through it pretty easily most of the time. But I guess people do fall for it. It's the only reason it's out there like that. But buying vehicles is very different, especially in this day and age and with this economy. So it's good luck to anybody out there doing it. Yep. But I'm icing up Facebook, and people put bullshit ads out there for cars.
All right. I'm gonna follow you up because I need your kind of help on what this wrestling move is.
All right.
This to me is I'm icing up this girl who fucked with this other girl. She fucked with the bull and she got the horns. This girl beats this ass. Now, everybody's gotten their ass beat in their life, I would think. But look at this end of this fight here. This girl's just working her. Look, pop, just beating it. Look at this. Boom!
Oh, dude.
What is that wrestling move?
There's a female that does a move like that. I don't know what it's called.
This person, God.
It's almost
boom. God, that thing.
Bro, you could fucking kill someone.
That's like curb stomping somebody right there.
Dude, you could have snapped her fucking neck.
Yeah.
Dude, no shit.
I got
man.
one. All right, go ahead. You guys go ahead next. I do got to show you one other one real quick. That's again,
so I'll go next here. I'm icing up fucking Rudy Giuliani. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but Rudy Giuliani was out and about in some grocery store doing something, and it's being reported that Rudy Giuliani got slapped. And then he even goes on to say, if I wasn't in good shape, I would have hit the ground and probably cracked my skull. Oh, well, damn, that sounds pretty fucking intense, right? Well, there's video of this interaction. Let's see how hard our man got slapped.
He got a pat on the back. That was a pat on the back.
Dude, that was literally, and by the way, he's still cussing and shouting at him.
Wow.
Screaming at him and shit.
That was a real pat on the back. It was
one more time. Pump. And by the way, this is the one that said, "Oh, if he wasn't in good shape, he would have fell over and cracked his skull."
Wow.
But then, how about this? A person who slapped the former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani on the back at a campaign event was arrested and jailed for more than 24 hours and now faces assault charges.
Oh my God.
He is due to be back in court on August the 17th. Dude, see, this is why that January 6th shit doesn't really mean shit to me. Like, our politicians live such a comfort, cozy life where they get to do whatever they want, say whatever they want, and then change the narrative to suit whatever kind of bullshit that protects them. Dude, what an absolute loser. This has nothing to do with him being Republican or whatever. This is him just being an absolute pussy. Ice up.
Yeah, that's just an old man. That's an old senile man right there. CK, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I mean, this is not intended to be political, but I'm sure some people are going to say, keep politics off my show. I think we can all agree right now it's a pretty tough time financially for people with the gas prices, grocery prices, everything continuing to go up and up and up and up and up. In the midst of an overturning of the Roe v. Wade, you start to see Democrats essentially sending out emails and text messages to people saying, this is such a bad situation. Donate to me if you want to fix it. Right? That, like, it's just the essential, the messaging, right? In the midst of like people honestly hurting with funds. Number one. All right. Number two, what you're telling me is you have no intention of trying to do anything in your current term. You're all about trying to get elected, and then maybe I'll do it then. Right? It's such an irritation. I don't care what your stance is, and every side does it, but this absolute money grab that these politicians find themselves in, and the fact that their first go-to with something like this, when a major milestone of their party is breached, or something that one of their core beliefs has been infringed upon, right? And their first thought is not, what can we do to fix it? What can you pay me to try to fix it? That's their first response. As politicians, that's the people we've elected into office. That's who we think is going to be able to get this country back on track. And quite honestly, if you want to get political, under the Democrats, our economy has gone in the absolute shithole from gas prices to cost of groceries. And I'm not somebody who puts myself on the conservative side. I'm dab in the middle. When you have every single facet of the government is controlled by the Democrats outside of maybe the Supreme Court, everything, and the economy looks as bad as it does, your first goal is to ask for more fucking money? Get out of here. Ice up, son.
Ice up. CK, that might have been one of your best ice ups ever.
It
bro.
was.
a really good one.
He kind of came with some passion there. I want to thank Salesman for this. I've watched this 285 times.
Did you ever find out what happened to this broad? Like, is she okay?
This
oh my
shit
God,
is
man.
so awesome. All right, so for people listening on the audio podcast, these are three weightlifting cats, two men and a lady, and they have these bags. They're very similar to a kettlebell.
Yeah, kettlebell.
But they are like it looks like about the size of a tool bag. And they are they're making a TikTok or something like this, or an OnlyFans video, I guess. And they are, imagine taking a kettlebell, doing a kettlebell workout, and then throwing it as high in the air, or like trying to throw it over your head behind you. You would think maybe this strong guy is going to nail that truck or something. I mean, these are heavy. Look at this shit. Boom! Oh my! I mean, 100 times. You can't do this. You should do this 100 times.
Wrapped around your neck. Oh,
God.
my
cannot,
gosh.
Bro, I cannot keep watching
Look,
this.
she says, no, she goes, look, she smiles. She smiles.
No, I don't think. Oh.
She's like, what the hell? You gotta step forward. Everybody else takes a step forward.
Oh,
but you
Why
can't
is
do
she on
that.
the cinder blocks?
Well, because she's shorter than those guys,
So she's trying to throw it as
trying
high.
to be in the frame, like they're trying to probably frame it right. But you could do this 100 times and not do that again. You know what I'm saying? Like you could try to throw that bag straight up in the air, and it would be like if you were trying to do that, it would be harder than not trying. I've watched this so many times. Thank you, at salesman. Jesus Christ, that poor girl. The question that I've been fielding this with my guy that I work out with, and he says that if the bag would have hit her straight in the head, it would have been worse.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
There's probably been some
You think so?
spine issues.
Yeah.
Dude, Tony, those have to be fucking 50-pound kettlebells.
No, they ain't that much. There's no way this girl is throwing a 30-pound kettlebell up.
Yeah,
I bet
dude. Yeah, she is.
Dude, I'm
look
telling
at how
you,
high they throw it. That's not.
She does not throw it that high. Look how
she
high
doesn't
hers
even
goes.
throw it that high. That was part. Also, her form is bad. You're supposed to throw it behind you instead of straight up.
Oh,
So
hers
if you
just
know
goes
that's some height.
Yeah,
man.
that was pretty high.
Yeah, if that would have hit her instead of wrapping around her neck, it would have cracked
That
her
ain't-
skull.
That thing.
Yeah, if that was 50, I
12,
think
15
that would have.
pounds.
I think that would have been.
dude,
Yeah, I
even
would say.
still,
I'd say
something
30.
that heavy
Gotta
coming
step
down
forward.
that hard on your head. Oh, Tony, stop playing it,
Oh,
bro.
yeah,
It's
I
fucking-
love it, man. I
Give me
could
the
not
fucking
stop. I just
heebie-jeebies,
giggle. I
dude.
shouldn't be.
Ah,
But that's what you get for trying to be internet cool. Turned out
dude,
to be
Tony's
internet
eyes up
cool.
tonight for fucking
Brutal.
unsettling.
That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night you can chop up latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We're on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you get that podcast at. We're going to be busting out a lot of content. Please help me help support us with the small things by just liking and sharing the shorts, the content, the extra content Cody does, and that we're going to continue to pump out as the season gets in. Cody, tell them how they can get after you.
Yeah, find me on Twitter. You see it right there at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. I'm starting fights on there just like I am on here, so it's a vibe, man. Come and follow your boy. And then on Fridays at 7 p.m., you can come and tell me what you think about my opinions, about Tony's opinions, about the entire Carolina Panthers football team on the Friday free-for-all. Every Friday at 7 p.m., you can be a part of the show by joining via StreamYard. Hey, stop by, man. You might catch CK playing some Warzone randomly on a Friday, too, while we're talking about Panthers football. It's a good time for all parties involved. Be a part of it. C3 Friday free-for-all. Tony, that's it for me, man.
DK?
You can find me at all the socials at Codizzle Allen. And as Cody mentioned last Friday, I popped in and was playing Warzone while they were talking on the Friday free-for-all. It wasn't the primary screen, but if you guys are interested in coming and talking about some Panthers, watching some actual free-for-all action in the Warzone, then come pop by and say what's up.
Codizzle,
Yeah,
I put you on the big screen more than you even realize, brother.
Daniel Castro wants a C3 Gamer Day. I think that's a great idea. We need to do some fun things like that this year. Maybe
We
have
might do-
Madden,
I'll
do
play
some
some
Madden competitions or
Let's do it.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, how can they get after you?
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter is my personal handle, or check me out at Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse, my other podcast. We normally go live Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. We are about to change that date, I think, sometime during the weekday to free the Fridays up. And if so, you can find me on the free-for-alls a lot of Friday nights. So
Nice.
Shit.
I want to thank all the fans, dude. How about this off-season long-form show? Long-form ridiculous where your parents are arguing nonstop, and we still had a great turnout. You guys are fantastic. Not only are my co-hosts fantastic, but the people in the chat, you guys made my night. I had a tough hour before this show, so it made me happy to be here, even though Cody is the third person on the list who can make me mad. This goes to my wife, my mom, and Cody now. There's the three people that push me.
Come on, am I higher than your neighbor? Come on, dude.
God, All right. I'm out of. Let's get out of here. Take us out of here, brother.
C3 Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.
Love you guys.